This thing on?
If you like rock music, punk, metal, or blues, then you've come to the right place, because we like it too. It's Soundcheck. It's Soundcheck. It's Soundcheck. Check, check, check.
I love it. Great.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Soundcheck, the rock and roll and alternative music podcast here at Central Michigan Life. And I say that with a tear welling up in my eye, because that may very well be the last time I ever say that phrase, at least on the show, because it is my last episode of Soundcheck, at least full-time, as a full-time member of this podcast. If you don't know who I am, it's probably meant nothing to you then, but my name is Andrew Mullen. Last time you'll ever hear my voice.
Imagine if this is the first episode someone's tuning into.
It's like, what? I've already gotten to the ending of it? No, I've spoiled it.
They're not invested in these characters at all.
I've spoiled the whole thing. What have I done? Anyways, what's your name?
My name's Michael Livingston. I am...
we're doing introductions now?
I'm chilling. That is my introduction.
He's just happy I'm leaving, to be honest.
No, I'm just happy to be here with my two best buds to talk about music.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm podcast editor Ben Ackley. I'm covered in fine brown hair.
Yeah.
What was that?
Is
this really how we're starting my ending?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
The coup has begun now.
The coup has begun. Yes, they're taking it over. They're done. They're happy to get rid of my scrawny ass and
Episodes
throw
after
me
this
to
are
the
all going to
wayside.
be... the next episode's going to be 15 minutes long.
But no, seriously, in all seriousness, no. Yes, I was one of the people that started this podcast all the way back in, oh my God, the ancient times of late 2018. It's crazy. I was a mere sophomore when I started this thing, and now I'm a not much more mature senior, ready to move on into the real world, and it's scary. But I'm happy that one of the last things I get to do as a CMU student is to sit down with my Soundcheck bros and put a wrap on this whole endeavor that I've gone through.
2018. Let's remember back to those times. I was a lot thinner.
Same.
Andrew's hair was a lot shorter.
Yeah, it was.
You still had the vest.
You still had the vest. You weren't even technically a part of the podcast yet, I don't think.
I was not. There was the original co-host, Elio Stante.
Who was on our Talking Heads episode.
He was.
You joined with the your first episode was with the White Stripes.
Technically Jack White, but
Jack White.
But yeah, White Stripes was included in that. And then I think
your first, I think we did Tool was our first full-time
appropriate
full-time episode that we did with you. Like when you were full-time, that's the first episode we did.
I believe so, yeah. Or maybe it was Dinosaur Jr. so the audience can get to know my
I think it was Tool, because I think they had just announced Fear Inoculum. Is that what the name of that record was?
Right, yep. Mm-hmm.
So I think that was Dino was later in the
And as we all know, some things never change. We did not do our research and have no idea what we're talking about, even when we're talking about our own show.
I have to ask you this, Andrew. What made you want to make me your co-host all those years ago?
Well, I mean, you've joked out of it was kind of out of necessity because there's no one else. Yeah. I mean, that was, if I'm going to be honest here now, part of it, a very small part of it. I mean, because, there wasn't a lot of... there wasn't like a whole nother, there wasn't like a ton of like music fans. There were some in CM Life, but but in all seriousness, no, Michael, you were a cool dude. You were very eloquent. You're very eloquent on the mic, much more than I am. I ramble and I stumble over myself a lot. And you also just had, like me, a pretty wide variety of music that you were into. I mean, where else was I going to find that on campus? But I also highly respected your music opinions, and I knew you'd be just an excellent foil and counter to my insanity with your more relaxed, well-mannered, unless we're talking about Weezer, then we're all just yelling.
Damn.
I remember that first Jack White episode. I spent that was the first all-nighter I think I ever pulled in college.
Oh my god!
Was
Why?
was
Why
to
for
read,
that episode?
to read, because it was my first time I've ever been invited on a podcast, and it was to talk about music, which is one of my favorite things. So of course I stayed up trying to research every aspect of Jack White, the Raconteurs, Dead Weather, every project, everything he's done since he was like a child. Like I knew he was a carpenter and all this stuff, just so I could come on the podcast fully prepared and ready to go. And then after that podcast came out, I probably listened to it like myself on the podcast like 5 times to be where did I fuck up?
I probably should do that more, but I usually don't like listening to myself.
Here's a fun segment. How many times have you listened back to the podcast?
I haven't done it since like the 2nd season.
If it was one that I was really proud of, I would listen to it. One I thought that was a lot of fun, I would do so. Like I remember I listened back to the CD Dollar Bin episode we did in season 2. Guilty pleasures, I'm sure. Obviously, I just did with the Bad Religion episode. I've watched the Record Roulette episodes as well because I think those were a lot of fun. But I mean, sometimes it's just like I don't know. Like sometimes like, oh, that was rough. I don't want to relive that.
I listen back to anyone with video component in it nowadays.
Yeah.
It's like if we're doing and video component aside from like this camera right here, so like Record Roulette, the Halloween. I listened back to the Halloween episode a lot because that one was short, and it was narrative based. I listened back to
just a really interesting take on what we do.
Glam. I listened back to that because it was very well scripted. The math rock one as well.
Yeah, I've definitely gone back to stuff before. It's obviously different for me because I've been editing stuff consistently since like the end of season 3.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I've gone back and listened to stuff like I could probably count it on one hand. Yeah, just because I know this shit front to back because I've edited it all.
You record it, then you have to edit it. So it's like I've
experienced it twice already.
Yeah, like you don't need any more about it after that. But
let's talk about Ben's first episode.
Well, I was gonna say, Ben. Well, obviously, with your first episode, before you were here full time, it was I think it ended up being kind of the unofficial season finale of season 2 when we had you on for Garage Punk. And I remember because when we first met, I realized. I think you'd mentioned that you liked the 13th Floor Elevator. It's like, oh, we have a shared love for garage music. So I think that's why we had you on there. I don't know, we had you on for Horror Punk kind of before you became our full-time editor. I don't know, did you listen back to those?
I haven't. I have very distinct, I'm honestly too embarrassed to listen back to either of those. I have very distinct memory of like, holy shit, like I actually found people I can talk about the stuff that I'm super passionate about with, which I had never really had. So I'm like shaking literally.
Yeah.
Like trying to talk about the Cramps or whatever bullshit.
Honestly, in many ways, I'm like that too, because you're right, because I hadn't really had that outlet before. I mean, some, but it was like classic rock stuff. I hadn't really had a lot of chance to sit down with people who enjoy punk music like I do, or alternative music or garage music, too. Mm-hmm. So... yeah, it was, I think I found the right 2 people to kind of help join me, and I don't even think it's, I don't know if people would consider it my show. I don't. I think it's kind of all 3 of ours.
I did at first, like in the first, like, couple seasons I was on, but after that, like, we started to... like it's like almost like a band dichotomy. Like you were like the front man, the main lyricist, the main songwriter at first, but then as time went on, kind of like the latest Foo Fighters record, he started to let me start to throw some episode ideas out there and like take the lead on some of the stuff.
And looking back, even then I don't want to make it sound like it was a monopoly. If I made for
definitely wasn't.
If I made you feel like that, Michael, I'm sorry, but like I definitely at least wanted to make sure we had like different like. I definitely, I was probably a little too like nitpicky about ideas at times, and I wish I wasn't. But I still always wanted to make sure we all had like ideas we can throw out. Even when Elliot was on, like I think pretty much every episode idea we did was mine. But I always asked him, hey, is there something you want to do? Let's do whatever. And then I don't know, it didn't work out that way, I guess. But I always try to at least get input about episode ideas and what we want to do. So.
Right.
But yeah, without my input, I think the show is only going to get better from here, to be quite frank.
Wow. Thank
And listen, I don't like to give praise to myself a lot. In fact, quite the opposite. But I am genuinely interested to see where you guys take this from here. But we can kind of get into the future of the show and fond memories we had later, because
We do have a point to this episode.
Yeah, we have a
we
topic.
do. We do actually have a topic, and it's a fitting one. I believe, Ben, you came up with this episode
Yeah.
idea, so why don't you go ahead and intro it?
Oh, well, let's think. All good things must come to an end.
Yes.
And that not only includes Andrew's tenure on the podcast or the end of this school year, which we're coming up on.
Has this been a good thing? The school year's been a good thing?
That's true. But albums are also things that unfortunately must come to an end. Unless maybe it's the
Nonagon
Infinity. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and there are lots of techniques to end an album, and I figured we should showcase some of the great album closers of all time. We're definitely not creating a comprehensive list.
No.
This is more going to be personal favorite songs that
favorites.
end albums.
Maybe some of these are famous for being great album closers. I mean, we do have some bona fide classics on this list. You know, huge hits or just spectacular endings that people fondly remember. But I think in general, it's kind of a mix of those with their own personal picks, ones you may not have. At least that's what I tried to do. Try to have a good mix of that.
Yep.
Yeah, mine as per usual is definitely very oriented just towards what I've been listening to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got as much from your picks. That was the case. But I do want to ask you this, Ben. Yeah, listen, I know. This is, dude, my last episode, I still don't know how to speak straight sometimes. Ben, you obviously one of the main reasons you picked this episode was not only to have a fitting closer to my tenure here. You know, album closers make sense, but I feel like there's probably something a little more to that. How come you wanted to? Because even before you realized this would be our season closer, you still had the idea that this
Right.
was a good episode idea. How come you wanted to do that?
I think that the album closing track is something that's forgotten a lot of the time. I think that lots of times on lesser albums, they'll just kind of close with whatever song. You know, it'll just be another song in the lineup. It won't have some sort of statement or big idea or anything like that. Not that it has to have that, but
No.
there's the great albums are ones that really find something to say at the end, whether it's just sliding a track in the end that is singing about the end of something or going somewhere else. But there's a way to leave a really good or appropriate taste in your mouth at the end of an album. And I think that all the stuff we're talking about today, it leaves you wanting more, and it leaves you with really fond memories of an album when it has a really, really strong last track. And that slot is overlooked a lot, and that's why I thought we should highlight it.
Looking back, every time we go through a band discography or diving into an album, I always try to include some sort of final comment on the last track. Like, is this a good closer to the album? Because I think that's important. I think albums, especially when you're a music fan,
Right.
you always look at albums as a singular project, whereas more casual listeners will look at songs as the whole package. So when you are deep into the, I don't know, when you define yourself as a music listener, album closers become a lot more important.
Yeah, with album-based music, there's a reason that song is the last one, and you're definitely going to hear that with basically everything in here. There's always a reason that whatever song it is slotted last. It's not just because it's where it ended up. There's a very specific reason.
Especially, obviously, with the great closers. I mean, there's nothing wrong with just ending an album with a solid track. Like, I think, never mind the bollocks. It just ends with EMI. I mean, it's not like nothing about it screams album closer. It's just a big middle finger to the giant monolith that is EMI Records.
Right.
But it's still a good song, though. And
Yeah.
it doesn't leave you with a bad taste. But but with these, especially the ones that I pick, I feel like an album. If you want a truly great send off to your record, if you want to make a great final statement, you have to really plan that out and really put something that I think means a lot. For me, when I think of album closes, I think of something just this grand, huge, just final, hurrah or something, or just a huge, just epic closer, or just a big emotional release,
Yeah.
You kind of tied in the record. And that's pretty much how I picked all my songs. Those are like the kind of album closers to me that draw me in, that make me think back. It's like, wow, that was a really great way to end the record. And honestly, a great last song on a record can really, I think, change, a lot of people's, opinions on the record. But it ends on a stinker, you're probably gonna be like, oh, that's the final feeling you have on it. It's gonna kind of manipulate how you think about it. It's just like any movie or TV show that has like a crappy ending. It's like, I mean, maybe everything else leading up to it was great, but if you fall flat right at the end, I don't know. I've never watched it, but I know that's what happened with Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, nobody's ever watched Game of Thrones again after they saw that a horrible last season.
Yeah,
so it's
if you've run 25 miles of a marathon and you pass out there, then your times up to that point don't matter because you came in last.
right.
We're
just putting all the cliches there.
So yeah, what's some other cliches? Come on, there's got to be some more. I thought I could come up with one.
Read a popsicle joke.
Oh, I got a popsicle joke.
So nice guys don't finish last.
We do have the popsicles again. The popsicle segment continues as we bust our way into the summer. What did the hamburgers name their daughter? We of course know the answer already.
Yeah,
which is Patty.
Oh.
So we're gonna say it at the same time.
I thought it was gonna be Wendy.
It's Wendy. It's of course Susan.
Give your first pick then.
Okay.
We're starting now. It's the
Yes.
official licks. So
Yeah.
licks, picks, whatever. Thinking about
The classic
popsicles.
soundcheck staple of running on fumes into the last episode and just
my God.
we're leaving it all on the field this week,
Yeah.
folks.
How many songs do we pick each, Ben?
Well, we all picked 4 songs because there's not going to be a ton of history or BS, our usual BS behind these. We're just going to be talking about why they're great. My first one is from one of my favorite albums of 2019 that I really started appreciating in 2020. If you know me personally at all, I've not shut up about David Berman over the entire last year. And his final project, Purple Mountains, with the self-titled album Purple Mountains, his first album in like 10 plus years, was flawless in my opinion. I can't say enough good things about this. We talked about it on some other episode.
Our favorite summer discoveries, I think.
Favorite summer discoveries. Yeah, we talked about this, and I think I brought a recommendation on it before as well. Mm-hmm. It's just a really fabulous record, and the last song might be the most upsetting and depressing one, which I'm going to play a clip of and then talk about a little more afterwards. Maybe I'm the Only One for Me.
Bended knee, honeymoon, nursery, another soon. Into my mind the thought begins to seep. If no one's fond of fucking me, maybe no one's fucking fond of me. Yeah, maybe I'm the only one for me. Only one for me. Only one for me. Only one for me. I'll put my dreams high on a shelf. I'll have to learn to like myself. I'll put my dreams high on a shelf. I'll have to learn to like myself.
Rest in peace
Rest in peace.
to a legend.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say whatever you want comparing this song to Pinkerton or saying it's incel music or whatever. But I think you have a heart of stone if you can't admit that a 52-year-old man singing if no one's fond of fucking me, then maybe no one's fucking fond of me is like one of the most pathetic, sad things ever.
Yeah.
Especially with the knowledge that we have where his life went after this, which was not very far.
Yeah.
And another note on my picks, they're all pretty sad.
Some of mine are too, so it's not a big deal.
Appropriately for Andrew's last episode, I'd say. But it's this song is just the final outpouring of feeling at the end of an album that is so full of like stark, bare emotion that having placed it anywhere else would have been like it would have come too soon. Having this at the end, just this complete vulnerability of like, I feel so alone, I don't know what to do, like I feel completely hopeless, is perfect.
Yeah. You know, even looking back, because, you know, obviously Pink Moon by Nick Drake, which, by the way, there was an actual pink moon that was up in the sky like a couple nights ago.
Yeah.
I saw it. It was a very magical moment. I played Pink Moon right after I saw it.
Hell yeah.
As a side note. But yeah, even on that record, which had a lot of those feelings of loneliness and isolation and despair, even that record had its hopeful moments.
Right.
I mean, he's still, like, you'd hear twinges of it even in something like Things Behind the Sun. I don't know. Do you not really get that in this record?
I mean,
Margaritas at the Mall. That's a pretty fun one. I think that, you know, I can talk about my love for David Berman as well, because Ben was the one who introduced me to the Silver Jews and Pavement and all of these David Berman affiliate groups.
Right.
I've heard of them, but I didn't dive into it until Ben brought it up. And all of David Berman's music has brought me not only closer to that side of kind of country tinged rock music, but also closer to Ben as songwriters and everything like that, and as friends. So there are magical moments all over the Purple Mountains LP for me, and all of David Berman's solo project as Silver Jews and stuff.
The only hopefulness that comes on this record is really when his poetic lens turns away from self. Like Snow is Falling in Manhattan is a very pretty song. There's not that much darkness in it, but it's really because it's focusing on like snowfall and the natural world and the world outside of the songwriter. But I mean, if you the eighth track is probably the only one that comes as close to this one as being like as upsetting. That's Nights That Won't Happen. The dead know what they're doing when they leave this world behind. When the here and the hereafter momentarily align. When the dying's finally done, the suffering subsides. All the suffering gets done by the ones we leave behind. Like that is a cry for help if I've ever heard one. And the fact that is on a record that you can listen to and enjoy, I find it very enjoyable, but I also find it like it's a really visceral experience.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, it almost feels wrong for you to be listening to.
Yeah,
you know, it's like, should I be like, I'm looking into someone's like meltdown basically. It's just like it's almost uncomfortable in that way.
Yeah, I'd call it just because Pink Moon has some like poetic moves that it makes where the songwriting topics aren't always as obvious as it is on Purple Mountains. So I'd say Purple Mountains is probably the darker record, but it's only really, it's made not listenable, but it's made palatable by the fact that there's a backing band. Like if it was just David Berman performing these songs, it would be so upsetting to listen to that I don't think anyone could really stomach it with a good conscience. Yeah. But I mean, what an opener for your final episode.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate it. No,
I know. I don't feel like I can, in good conscience, go on and give an Odd Future song the next one. So I think I'm going to actually skip ahead in mine and talk about System of a Down for a second.
Yeah.
The only metal act that I can consistently really come back and listen to whenever I want, besides like Metallica and those thrash acts that I really like, metal is a genre that kind of comes and goes for me, but System of Downs has such an original take on how they write music. All over Toxicity you can hear that, all over Mesmerized you can hear that. I think it's a metal band that anybody can find a little bit of light in. It doesn't matter if you're a country fan or a folk fan or a jazz fan or an opera fan. You know, you can find something to love in System of a Down. And the song I wanted to bring on is, of course, Aerials, one of their most favorite tracks and the closer of Toxicity.
Life is a waterfall. We're one in the river and one again after the fall. Swimming through the void, we hear the word. We lose ourselves, but we find it all. 'Cause we are the ones that wanna play. Always wanna go, but you never wanna stay. And we are the ones that wanna choose. Always wanna play, but you never
Yeah, I there's some versions of Toxicity that has Ardo as the last version, but in the official version, this was the last.
I mean, the
track.
last track of,
Yeah.
of those versions. Okay.
Yeah, and I think this is just this. If we're talking about putting a statement on the end of the album, this is the one where you come around to and you're reflecting on the whole art pieces in its entirety.
Yeah.
It's the closer to not only an album but probably a concert. You can imagine it as that. And just like the songs leading up to this are just great too. I love this album so much. I really think it's like a modern classic when it comes to metal. Like Chop Suey, of course, everyone knows that one. Science, I think, is great. The title track is great. I mean, it just all leads up to this kind of like climax, and I just think it's awesome. Do you have any experience with System of a Down, Andrew? This is more in your vein than it would be for me.
Right.
Yeah, actually, honestly, probably not much more than Ben. I do remember hearing the song probably a few times and like 101 The Riff, a crappy rock station we have in like Detroit. When I was like first getting into music, I listened to that a lot for some reason. And I don't know, there was something about when I was first getting to music that System of a Down just kind of hit me the wrong way.
It's because it gets lumped in with a bunch of shitty bands.
I mean,
the
sure,
problem.
but here's the thing. So some of those crappy bands that you're thinking of, I still enjoy. So honestly, like, I don't know what it was that I didn't like. It was again, Smashing Pumpkins and Weezer. Also, when they were played those songs, they just didn't do anything for me. I didn't like how Rivers sounded on like the Blue Album record. I didn't like Billy Corgan's voice. I don't know. It wasn't. I forget the guy's names.
Serge Takenen.
Yeah, I don't think it was his vocal. I don't know what it was. Maybe I just thought Chop Suey was just too weird. I don't know. Obviously, I like those other two bands now, and I know System of a Down's another band I have to give another go because I think I would really like them. What I've heard, I've like, oh, this is actually really good. This is a lot of good melodic sensibilities to this. Like their production's pretty solid. They have a lot of good anti-war tracks. One of the few bands that were actually writing those during the Iraq War. So I definitely need to give System of a Down a chance. I will say after hearing the song again after probably so many years of me not, I really liked it. Some really good melody, really good chugging guitars. This is certainly, I don't know what the rest of Toxicity sounds like, but it sounds like a perfectly fine way to end a record.
Yeah, I want to come back to the fact that it's so unfortunate that System of a Down just came in this time of new metal, of like people trying to experiment and those experiments falling flat on their face. I think System of a Down is an example where it actually worked out. And like the operatic approach that Serge has to singing these songs, you're never going to hear anything like it, you know?
I know you normally don't like it when like metal vocals kind of soar. I know that's not something you particularly enjoy, Michael.
I don't like it when they're high pitched like that, but for some reason how Serge sings it with an accent, with this sort of like otherworldly spirit to it, I can come around to that. I can come around to how unique it is. He's not mimicking any other metal singer. He's mimicking the folk music, the Armenian folk music that he grew up on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which just automatically, that story makes it so much more appealing to me. I think, if anyone approaches System of a Down with that mindset, just going in saying, this is a metal band that's doing things that no other metal band did, I think that you're going to come away pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
So,
No, we talked, or we were all talking before recording, and you said this would be something that would appeal to me, and honestly, I was really, really into that. Mm-hmm. Like, lots of modern metal, I've said it before, I don't like the growly vocals, I'm just not into it.
I don't either.
It's, I like your Bruce Dickinson, Rob Halford types, just like more powerful soaring vocals. Mm-hmm. And this has this is a really good middle ground where he's not like a crazy, insane vocalist, but he's just a really good vocalist in good voice. And his voice just really fits the song,
And if I may add this, one of the bands I'm sure you're referring to, Michael, is Avenged Sevenfold, a band that I will fully admit I still enjoy, even though I'm not 13 anymore. Because you want to know why? It's because they ditched those growly vocals at the start of the career, and they started doing more melody. He started I can't remember the singer's name anymore. I don't care. He started using those cleaner vocals, those more soaring stuff that I really like. And honestly, I don't know why I was always so turned off by System because it's something I surely should have loved at the same time. But I don't know. I just think it's just a band I need to kind of revisit and give them a fair chance.
Definitely. I've come to really appreciate their oddity in a similar way. Like people love Wu-Tang, specifically Old Dirty Bastard for his oddity.
Yeah.
I love how System of a Down kind of has that.
I can see that.
Forget their drummer is a terrible person.
Yeah, try to forget that. But let's move on.
Oh, yeah.
Let's move
So,
to yours.
before we move on,
Yeah.
everybody, this is Andrew's last first pick. So let's
Let's take a moment of
we'll
silence.
take a moment of silence for this. Okay, now Andrew, what do you have?
I was okay. We're gonna do this for everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Was actually staying in metal. Mine's probably even more of a basic pick when it comes to that genre. You mentioned Maiden a couple times already, and that's what I have. I brought on Iron Maiden's song, and one of the reasons I did is because I don't think we've ever really talked about them on the show before. I even in like just passing. So I actually before I
Wow.
even bring my song of choice, I kind of wanted to know where you guys land on Maiden.
Oh, Michael, you should go first because I'll end it with a positive.
I don't. No, I can't. I can't make any statements. I can't because I love Maiden's hits. I love just them as a historical piece of metal history. But I have never done a deep dive. I never have, and I never had an excuse to. We were supposed to go to that concert, or no, that was Judas Priest.
We were supposed to do Judas Priest.
Okay, but I'm similarly never had the chance to dive into this particular era.
Yeah.
Or anything like that, and I'm worried that as I age, I'm losing time. So someone's got to do it for me.
I will.
Yeah.
I can help you if you want, Michael. But Ben, go ahead.
Oh, I love Iron Maiden. I've seen them live. They're one of my favorite metal bands, which is a really basic pick, I know, but I don't know. Just something about the songwriting works for me. I think the musicianship is great. I love the singer. Yeah, seeing them live was really sick. I don't know. There's just like I like history. I think helps because a lot of their lyrics are based in historical events, which sounds lame and usually isn't, surprisingly. I don't know. Iron Maiden is definitely they're one of they're the best new wave of British heavy metal band in my opinion. I know Andrew would probably go for Priest.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what I was gonna say. I really like Maiden a lot, even though I've probably made it a secret that I'm a bigger Judas Priest fan. I love Priest a lot, and even though Maiden's fan base can be a little on the very toxic side of things, but I still really enjoy their music. And the one thing I will say that Maiden has over Priest is a couple of things. Not only typically, even though they may not take as many risks as Priest did over the years, usually let their albums to be a little more consistent.
Right.
And they were also really good at album closers. They had a lot of bangers at the end of their records, and two. And I have probably the most basic one. And any hardcore Maiden fans probably think of two of the songs that I would pick here. But I went with the closer to their absolute classic, Number of the Beast, Hallowed Be Thy Name. Now, I will say, I'm just feel like I'm casually just pissing off Maiden fans, because I think Number of the Beast is slightly on the overrated side. I don't think they have a couple...
Wrong.
They have a couple... they have a couple... There's a couple duds in that record.
There is actually, I can't remember the name of the song, but there's a non-album single that was recorded for those sessions that's better than whatever the worst song on that one is.
I never liked Children of the Damned because it was just like... I think that had more to do that it was just like placed on there. Ganglands was weird off that. Mm-hmm. Invaders kind of
Invaders is good.
It's fine.
Go on.
But anyways, I honestly prefer Peace of Mind and even Power Slave to Number of the Beast.
Yeah, well.
And while Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, which closes a Power Slave, could have easily been in this spot, I went with Hallowed Be Thy Name because I think it's a little more digestible. It's Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner is like 13 minutes or something. So even though Hallowed is like over 7 minutes, it's still more manageable in that case. And I don't know. I just think it has this really cool build throughout the song. A lot of great riffs, and there's even a strong narrative throughout it. I mean, you mentioned history. This refers to like a criminal who's literally about to be hanged at the gallows pole for what crime we don't know. Maybe he didn't even commit a crime. And it's just kind of this inner monologue about like him kind of coping with the idea, the fact that he's about to die. And he goes through phases of like why are you doing this to me, God, to finding comfort in religion before he goes, which is obviously the line, hallowed be thy name. It's really interesting, and and I think I mentioned it on a thrash episode a couple times. I always get annoyed when people are like, oh, you don't need to pay attention to the lyrics with metal. There could be some strong lyricism with metal. I think Maiden, again, it's something else they kind of had over Priest. They typically had stronger lyrics, and I think Hallowed be thy name, I think it's a great example of that. So before we go any further, though, Ben, would you like to play a clip for us?
Yes.
'Cause at 5 o'clock they take me to the gallows pole. The sands of time for me are running low. When the priest comes to read me the last rites, take a look through the bars of the last sights of a world that has gone very wrong for me. Can it be that there's some sort of error? How to stop the surmounting terror? Is it really the end, not some crazy dream? Somebody please tell me that I'm dreaming. It's not easy to
I was rocking out so hard, I literally smashed my hand into Michael's microphone stand. Anyways, what do you guys think about that track?
I love that track. I think it puts you in. It could have been on our Halloween episode. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, what else can you say? Iron Maiden is really awesome. Despite the fan base, despite their horrible albums with Blaze Bayley, famed horrible, atrocious singer, there aren't too many places that you can go wrong in their discography. And their album art is almost always really good. There's one that is sticking out in my head that's very bad, but mostly really good.
This one too.
Yeah,
You got like the Eddie, Electric Eddie, doing like having the devil on the puppet strings. It's great. That was really fueled Satanic Panic in the 80s. This record. I mean, I think this song is not only a great example why Iron Maiden's so awesome, but it just shows their ability to not only craft a good narrative, their ability to end an album on a very, very strong note.
Let's go from the front lines of war to the vegetable farm with Ben Ackley's next pick.
Yep, here we are back in the country with a man who spent some of his time making country music, some of his time making rock music, some of his time making a weird synth album that got him sued by David Geffen. This is Neil Young, who has always done whatever the fuck he wants to do, and this album is no question. His seminal 1974 album, On the Beach, ends with Ambulance Blues, which honestly, On the Beach is a rare album that sort of ends with a double like punch of amazing acoustic songs, because Motion Picture Blues for his then girlfriend comes before this, and they are both just really good kind of somber acoustic songs, and you should take some time. There's actually a fellow podcast which should not be mentioned in the same breath as Soundcheck, but Cocaine and Rhinestones is a really great country music podcast, and they have an episode on Doug and Rusty Kershaw. Rusty Kershaw plays on the Beach, and he helped produce it as well. He was just a real wild man. There are lots of stories behind the recording of On the Beach that you'll get from that episode that I would highly recommend you seek out. But this is the last track from On the Beach, and for an album that burns as brightly as it does and has crazy jams, and they were recording it all in the dark by candlelight and all this crazy stuff, having such a beautiful closing track about some about the war, some about Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and the way that all kind of burnt out, and the way that people didn't really appreciate it as much as Neil Young thought they should, and his issues with his manager. It's a song that sounds like it could verge into being a rant, but it's more just like a this is all a shame sort of thing. And the last verse about Nixon, and I don't know. This one is just, the melody's really strong. Neil's definitely one of my all-time favorite acoustic players, and he's in great voice on this track, which really does, it leaves you feeling the right way after On the Beach, I think.
Well, I'm up in T.O., keeping jive alive, and out on the corner it's 5:30, but the subways are empty, and so are the cafes, except for the farmer's market, and I still can hear him say, you're all just pissing in the wind. You don't know it, but you are. And there ain't nothing like a friend who can tell you you're just pissing in the wind.
And maybe we're all just pissing in the wind too, spending a few hours of our weeks, for me, double that, recording this show. But, I think we've had a pretty good time. So
I hit my
that's
hand
worth it.
really hard.
Yeah, Andrew's in need of a doctor after violently air drumming and smashing his hand into Michael's mic stand during the Iron Maiden song.
I'm in need of a psychiatrist after listening to that acoustic playing because of how good it is. I love, you're talking about Neil Young's ability to control the volume when he's strumming those bass notes, and the way he's able to just kind of make simple chords on an acoustic guitar sound like, a Spanish guitar arrangement almost. It's just the level of technicianship just is insane, and I think that becomes full spin on this last track here.
Yeah, he's really he's for a lot of his stuff, at least in the 70s, he was kind of one of those people where he could just touch anything and it would turn to gold. Mm-hmm. And he could write super simple melodies and lyrics, and just the way that he is and the way that he can sing those brings most anything to life. And that's, his stuff is from the start of his solo career to 1980 at least, basically all essential. Just for anyone who is a music fan, you'll probably be able to find something, whether it's his harder rocking stuff or this stuff. I like it all, but he's up there. He's getting up there with Dylan for me as far as favorite artists are concerned.
Yeah, kind of like with Michael with Maiden, I cannot really comment on Neil Young very much. Still need to get into him. Just one of those. Just I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, it is a very imposing discography. I would say,
I want to say I have After the Gold Rush in vinyl somewhere.
After the Gold Rush, yeah. A place to start, I'd probably say for you, Tonight's the Night, On the Beach, or Zuma would be really good options, because those have a good combo of the acoustic country stuff and the rock.
Doesn't he have an 8-minute long song called Hurricane? Or am I thinking of a...
That's Bob Dylan.
That's Bob Dylan. But he has an 8-long song that's something.
Cortez the Killer is the really long one on Zuma.
I can't...
He has lots of long songs. Cowgirl in the Sand is from his second, as well as Down by the River is also very long. I could keep going, but I think you'll find it.
Neil
at some
Young
point.
episode coming soon.
Yeah, the honestly, there's
Like a hurricane, that's one.
like a hurricane. Yeah, a Neil Young episode would be great. A Bob Dylan episode would be great.
You'll get it.
They're so massive that I can't really. I haven't figured out yet how to do it.
Yeah.
But we'll try to figure it out. But that's a long way from now.
Yeah, we'll get it.
We'll see.
I'm also going to change up the order some more. I didn't realize we would have so many sad songs in this.
Well, that's all of mine.
Oh, so I'm going to go ahead and skip forward to Inner City Blues,
Nice.
parentheses, Make Me Wanna Holler, by Marvin Gaye, off of his just legendary album, What's Going On. And, I mean, I don't know what I can say about the album as a whole that hasn't been said before. We brought Marvin Gaye on a couple different times.
I think we brought him on for best covers, I want to say.
Yeah.
I'm sure we mentioned him because Living Color covered the song. I mentioned him in that episode. So,
Right.
Yeah, anyways, go ahead.
It's just a perfect commentary on, U.S. politics and where priorities laid at the time. The lines about, spending the money to put a man on the moon, but not fixing the housing projects in the inner cities. That's just absolutely put the black community in a fucking hole. So it's like it's just it's a
We
just
cared
the
more
perfect
about
commentary.
showing off to big bad Russia, really, than actually doing something meaningful to make
Yeah,
Russia better.
and as a whole, it's just it's a commentary on the competitive nature of states. It's almost like an international relations song in its entirety, just where
Yeah.
priorities and domestic politics play in the giant scheme of the priority list for a nation could have. And I don't know. I don't think Marvin originally made the song for those reasons, obviously, but there's a reason why to this day, especially in the light of so many social uprisings we've had in the past year, that this song is still relevant. So, and just what a way to close an album too. I mean, What's Going On is a perfect album all the way through, but holy shit, what a song to end it on, right? He really saved the most emotional, most memorable piece for the very end. So I think we should hear that.
Everybody thinks we're wrong. Mother, who are they to judge us? Mother, simply cause we wear our hair long. Mother,
There's a specific reason I wanted to play that last minute and a half of the song, because that's what's closing the album. You just heard the last minute of What's Going On. And I think even without the lyrics, which we discussed the themes of before we played the song, it stands on its own as just like a beautiful composition. The piano, the bongos, the everything that's going into that.
Something, if you go back and like listen, and I think Stevie Wonder also kind of fits in the same umbrella as well. Because, Marvin Gaye was on Motown, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it was. And you listen back to his early like Motown like pop hits, like You and his cover of Heard It Through the Grapevine. I mean, he can write, great straightforward pop tracks, like really, really good ones. And he had just a great voice to go with it. But when he moved to speaking more on political issues, he
Yeah.
just excelled so well. There's so many great songs again about, Inner City Blues obviously talks about racism in America. He talked a lot about the Vietnam War because that was happening at the time, and certainly made better anti-war statements than Ed Wood Star, which, hey, that song's great, but it's only so much substance you can get with, what is it good for? After, I don't know. I think Marvin Gaye was just such a great voice of his generation, and was unfortunately just taken from us way too soon. I know that's a cliche, but it's true. I mean, man, I wish we would have had him for longer than what we did.
Right.
I mean, his situation with his dad kind of kept us from getting more music, and just him just living just a happy life, in general, which sucks.
Yeah.
So, but this is a great pick.
This is a really good pick for two different reasons. First of all, it's a really good example of the big message at the end of the album, which obviously this is an album full of messages, but you can tell by slotting this here that Marvin Gaye probably wanted this to be the message that really stuck out to people. Like, there are all these problems happening. Please focus your resources here because these are our people. This is what we need to be fixing. Unfortunately, a call that hasn't really been properly heeded. But then also, lots of people are against fade-outs in songs a lot of the time, which I understand.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
become a cliche.
Yeah, except at the end of an album, especially a song like that, the way that those bongos just sort of fade out into nothing, it kind of gives you a feeling that you've dropped in on something and that it's kind of going away now, and it's almost like a musical call to action. It's like it's going away. This song is still going on somewhere, and you kind of need to go help. Or you need to go find it and help make what should happen. And I think that's very clear, especially when it strips down to piano and the song kind of changes up entirely for this big ending. And it's not overblown. It's more of a cry for help, for lack of a better term.
I think we can move on in that case. I think
Yeah.
Ben put it best.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know how I'm going to top that. That was such a good pick. It's cheap, but I'll give it a go.
Yeah. Well, before we move on, we should say this is Andrew's
First, last
second pick. Andrew's last second pick coming up.
Spell your tears
next.
now.
Yeah. So we'll have a moment of silence for that.
No. Okay.
Oh.
So, I don't know how I'm going to top that last one, but I'll give it a go. I mean, I'm not. Anyways, I'm gonna do it again. I did this on an acoustic episode where not only am I bringing a song we may have talked about in an episode already, with an artist we've definitely talked about on the episode on the show already, but it's also Bob Mould again.
Yes. The artist that has fucked up my Spotify recommendations since the week we did that episode.
You know what? I did you a favor,
You
Michael.
did. You did.
So, don't you complain. And we're bringing, one of his best solo songs. If you don't know Bob Mould, former frontman of Husker Du. After he left, he did some solo stuff. Then he was in a band called Sugar for a hot second. They released some pretty good music.
Yeah.
And then solo stuff the rest of the way. He was a writer for WCW at some point when that company was a thing. He also did like a rave duo for a while. I don't know. But this is not any of that. This is one of those early solo records he did after leaving Husker Du. It's the second one, to be precise. Black Sheets of Rain, which was released in 1989. I thought it was 1990. I don't know. Whatever. It was, like I said, his second solo record. And might look like I'm cheating with this one. If you go on Spotify, the album, Black Sheets of Rain ends with the song Turning Off the Tide on Spotify, but I think that was a bonus track that was added on in a sense, whatever. Not counting it.
No.
Because it doesn't make any sense when the song right before it is Sacrifice, Let There Be Peace, which is a closing track if I've ever heard one. I mentioned at the start, a lot of the songs that I picked kind of revolves around, kind of a big release of emotion. And of course,
Yeah.
if you've ever listened to any music, any project that Bob Mould's had, he's certainly not shy of just releasing, just expelling so much emotion and just bringing such distraught vocal performances. I mean, you definitely hear that all over Zen Arcade or New Day Rising, those records. Listen to the Slim off of Copper Blue, just first Sugar record. You definitely hear it there. But possibly his biggest example of that is Sacrifice, Let There Be Peace. I don't know if I talked about this track in our Bob Mould episode, which you should go back in our archives and listen to. But man, I tried looking up the meaning behind this song. I'm not sure if there is, but this just sounds like, forget having a bad day or a bad week. This sounds like Bob Mould had the roughest year in existence, and he's just screaming and letting it all out just on the song. Like
the 2020 anthem.
I mean, it might as well be, because but by the end of the song, he can't even compose himself lyrically. He's just screaming and grunting and practically crying. It is seriously powerful. I've never heard him sound like in any other track like he does in this song. It's so raw and visceral, yet the song itself has this great slow build throughout it. It just eventually, just by the end, where he's just screaming, and just all these backing vocals, these instruments are just cascading over it. It's great. I wish I could play the whole song, but I can't. So Ben, why don't you just play us a good clip, I feel, to capture at least some of the song's magic.
If you're planning a future of indefinite grace, you'd better start removing the lines of deceit from your face. A simple conclusion is all I require. If fire is your passion, only aspire to be free. Oh, let me be free.
Yeah, I've returned to that song a lot. I don't know how much I was into that when we did our Bob Mould episode, but my love for that track has just grown and grown.
Yeah, I definitely agree. This is the era of Bob Mould that I come back to. It's Black Sheets of Rain, the album that came before this. This is when he's primal, screaming his guts out. Mm-hmm. I can't come around to the later stuff because it just feels like it's aged, and I know you don't feel that way, and I know a lot of the others. That's definitely a general statement. It's not all true, but with these albums, these early solo records in particular, this is the era of Bob Mould I always come back to.
Yeah, I don't know much Bob Mould beyond the handful of Husker Du songs that I know, and then I know a few of his solo things, but that is I love when people sort of reach down and go to the bottom of the pit, whatever that is for them. Purple Mountains is a really good example of that. Mm-hmm. People who really go to their wits' end and find great art from it. It's a very dangerous process. And I think that is a really great example of it, and you can just tell. Yeah,
and he did it a lot, especially during the 90s, I think, because it definitely got time to the mid-90s, after Sugar. They used a couple records you can't find on Spotify, but one I really like is his self-titled record. And he was in a very clearly, I can't find a lot of, I found an interview once of him, kind of in the mid-90s, which isn't too far removed from this record and that song, where he just clearly just did not want to be talking to anyone. He literally had a song on his self-titled record called I Hate Alternative Rock. And if you go, I actually have the CD copy of it, and it literally has like rankings, like out of like these like little dots that represents like rate. They like ranks each of his songs out of 10. I think he was just getting really dejected by the music scene. It took him a while to come back to it, and while I certainly understand your feelings in this later stuff, Michael, I just personally I think that I think he expels his emotions a little bit differently, but I agree. Nothing will become as primal as this kind of stuff, Michael, and I absolutely see that. And I don't know if you're like that, Ben. I would definitely check out the rest of this record and the one he released before this workbook. His self-titled record Hubcap's really good. And if you like that stuff, maybe check out his later albums, some of his later albums, Patch the Sky, Beauty and Ruin, and Silver Age. Those are all really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else you guys want to say about this?
I don't believe so.
No, that
great
sounded
closing
great.
track.
Yeah.
Even better in the context of the album. So go check it out, people.
Definitely. People.
Yeah.
People.
Okay, so on to something. We're going back to the pastures, folks. This time deep in the heart of Texas. I believe this album was recorded in a dance hall in Luckenbach, Texas, which, of course, the great Waylon Jennings has a song called Luckenbach, Texas, parentheses, Back to the Basics of Love. But that's not what I'm talking about today, because that's not an album closer. Come on, guys. That's crazy.
Well, I don't even know what the words are saying.
What I'm talking about today is Viva Terlingua, I believe, is how it's pronounced, and I'm probably horribly wrong, by the great and recently late Jerry Jeff Walker, a progressive country musician who had his heyday in the 70s. Much of a heyday it was not. This album came out in 1973. It was entirely recorded inside of a dance hall in Luckenbach, Texas. Jerry Jeff Walker was not a fan of the studio. He rarely did any recording in a studio. He would find weird old barns and venues that he loved to play and record there with mobile units. This is the same. And for that reason, there are 2 live recordings on this record mixed in the album. They're just studio cuts in front of a live audience, basically. I'm going to play you one of those, the big finisher from that. But the song that I'm going to play you is actually written by Gary P. Nunn, who's a member of the band. He's playing keyboards on this. I think he's playing piano and electric piano. Jerry Jeff Walker had a really great band put together, and there are amazing covers and originals on here. Wheel is a really great, sad original song about the loss of, I believe, his father or his grandfather in a farming accident, as cliche as that is. But the song that I'm about to play was written by Gary P. Nunn, I believe based on a bit of true experience. It's a very fun song called London Homesick Blues, about his time in London and his time wishing that he was back in the South, the American Southwest. This one I'm going to play. This is a really, really great live recording because the band hangs on the chorus for an inordinately long amount of time at the end. They just repeat it over and over, and the crowd is going insane, and they stop, and the crowd is going so crazy that the band all kind of stumbles back in and starts playing it again. And it's just like, it's one of those moments. Lots of times live albums don't really show you the entire picture of what's going on, but this is definitely one of those recordings that you feel like you're right there in the room, and it's very moving. Even if it is sort of a funny song, it's really a big closing statement to end the album with. I'm going to play you like a 1.5 minute clip, but I really highly suggest you seek this one out because it's a trip from start to finish.
Well, I decided that I'd get my cowboy hat and go down to Marble Arch Station. 'Cause when a Texan fancies, he'll take his chances. Chances will be taken, that's for sure. And them limey eyes, they were eyeing a prize some people call manly footwear. And they said you're from down south, and when you open your mouth, you always seem to put your foot there. I wanna go home with the armadillo. Good country music from Alabama.
And that's just a really, I mean, like, I don't know how it sounds coming from a rock fan's perspective anymore, because I've been completely immersed in country music for the last like year of my life. But that is a great example of a prime 70s country band just being on absolute fire for all of those recordings.
I mean, yeah, I will say this. I mean, yeah, I'm a little skewed because I'm a rock fan, so not huge into country. I will say that definitely would have fit in with not like the modern crap that my dad plays, but like a lot of the stuff I heard in the car growing up. It wasn't bad. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, the lyrics kind of gave me like the Texas, Sandy from like SpongeBob, like that famous song. The lyrics kind of gave me vibes of that. But it was fun. It was kind of it's nostalgic. It's one of those cases where it's nostalgic in a weird way, even though you've never heard this before.
Yeah, you're kind of nostalgic for a place you've never really been. Like, I've been in Texas for a little while, but I've never hung my hat there, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if you play a song like that where you're the main character is pining for Texas in front of a crowd of drunk Texans, you're going to get a great crowd reaction, and that's definitely what this recording does.
Yeah. The only thing this song did for me is just give me very nice flashbacks to my road trip to Texas that I did during the winter break. And I can definitely say, after traveling through those sort of central Texas small towns, as you're going east of El Paso, but still west of Houston, it's like that's all you really want to listen to as you're going through there. You just want to turn on Marfa Public Radio and listen to songs like that. So it just gives me good feelings of being on the road, good feelings of being with someone you like, and just having a good time.
Yeah, Jerry Jeff Walker is a really a forgotten artist, and if you want to hear what progressive country sounds like, check out this record, and particularly Sangria Wine and Wheel are both. Wheel starts out with like a weird a cappella opening where he's just singing and there are weird bells going off, and like it's really far out for country music especially. So I mean, if you're interested, that's just a great album, and expect to hear more things like this in the future on Soundcheck, because I'm going to be...
I will be gone, so have fun with that, Michael.
I'm going to be pushing that.
Well, expect to hear the exact opposite of that song right now with my pick, which is a hip-hop single off of from Odd Future, Wolfgang Killed Them All. There's more letters to that, but... This, of course, is the rap collective that spawned such talent as Tyler, the Creator, Frank Ocean, Earl Sweatshirt, Left Brain, and less memorable others. But the particular song I want to take is the closing track off of their second mixtape called Oldie, which harkens back to Wu-Tang, like 36 chambers sound with the beat. Left Brain and Tyler were on production for this whole album, so it's really great. It's mixed well, and the other songs on this one are great too. My favorite has always been Rella, just for how silly and awesome that song is. But you're gonna hear the reason why I love this track as a closing track so much, because uncharacteristically for some other artists, they actually go through and thank everyone that worked on the album, and the entire collective gets a chance to do a verse, which I think is cool. And it's obviously not the first time that a rap collective has come together and given everyone a chance to have the spotlight. But they're thanking like even the collaborators. Ty Dolla $ign worked on this one. It was just like, you hear it in the beginning. They're thanking everybody. Taco, I think, is doing it, and like it's just the coolest thing to kind of hear. Kind of the brotherhood that gets formed when you make a rap album or any album. And to that be put on the spotlight as it's closing down. So I'm only going to play Tyler's first verse and the opening to the track. It's 10 minutes long because there's a lot of members of Odd Future. But if you're going to definitely hear a lot more rap and hip hop after Andrew leaves too. So both are some tastes.
This is going to become a really weird podcast, I feel.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yo, shout out to everybody worked on the album, you feel me, Shun? Yo, shouts out to Ty Dollars, shouts out to Haji Daddies, shouts out to Lev Brizzle, shouts out to Damian, shouts out to Frankie Ocean, shouts out to Sid the Dude, shouts out to L-Boy.
Big-eared bandit is tossing all his manners in a bag and wrapping them in saran wrap bandages, tossing them in baskets with the rest of those sandwiches. So when he says it looks like an accident, flowing like my pad is the maxi. Is my bitch white and black like she's been mimicking a panda? It's the dark-skinned nigga kissing bitches in Canada, the kicking all out like Mr. Lawrence did Pamela. Put her in the chamber all against her Will Chamberlain. I never had a reason, nigga, I was just able to, not a fucking logic. Contradicting dickhead, flyer than an ostrich, moshing in a tar pit. Siemens in a cheetah print tea. In that Preem 5 piano, I repeated from the season. Previous items in the present with the normalized past, like I cheated on my team. It's me.
Yeah, there you go. Harkening back to the getting Andrew in a hip hop track or hip hop episode. What did you think, Andrew?
I mean, I liked it fine enough. I don't think this one would have gotten on my pick list. Sorry to say that, Michael. It was a little too lengthy for me, but I did like the idea of being able to thank everyone who worked on the record. It's cool, and they kind of brought other like themes into that as well. I think the Descendants on their album Everything Sucks, I think they had a track called Thank You. I don't know if it closed the record, but it was kind of something similar to that. So yeah, I think it's a really, I think that's a really cool way to end an album.
Yeah, I mean, it's Odd Future, you know, what can you say at this point? Like, half the guys have become really, really famous, and the other half no one cares about, so, you know.
Yeah. Shouts out to Taco.
I do I do like
Shouts
the
out to
idea
the
of doing the acknowledgments on the album, because you know, like lots of times in the times of physical media, which still kind of exists, but you know, that was something you'd put on the back of the album or in the gatefold or on the sleeve or wherever. So doing it in an auditory form just to make sure that people are getting their due is a really, really cool idea, and I respect it a lot.
Yeah, cool. Moving on.
Okay, so yeah, now we're coming up to Andrew's
last third pick.
Andrew,
what are you gonna do without me? I don't know. Lots, I think. Anyway, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting this is the running joke now, so I'm caught off guard each time. All right, so I brought another artist on. I feel like we may have mentioned in passing a lot, but I don't think we ever fully talked about. That's the band Bright Eyes. And again, before I talk about the song I chose in particular, I wanted to know where, if anywhere, do you guys land on Bright Eyes?
You know, the first time I heard a Bright Eyes song, it was in this this video game called Life is Strange. It's a like one of those sort of like choose your own adventure games. But the thing is, like, it's like the not like other girls lifestyle in a game form. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. It's about like time traveling, but also just being really quirky and artsy, and she's like a photographer, the main character. It's fucked. But I heard the Bright Eyes song in that, and I was like, wow, this is like crazy how intimate this artist can go. I know. Like with the way they can control the voice in front of the mic and the guitars and everything like that. It's just mixed beautifully in this intimate fashion. So that's my experience with Bright Eyes. Never went on beyond the song Lua, but I recognize that album from anywhere. Yeah. So
I know When the President Talks to God.
That's a good record.
And that's like it. You know, it's another one of the it's one of the list bands.
Yeah, you know, same kind of. I feel like probably more knowledgeable on the band's discography than you two, but not like a crazy amount. What I've heard though, I've loved. I really like the material I've heard from Bright Eyes. You know, and the singer Connor Oberst, I want to say,
yeah,
he's crazy. He's got this crazy like wavering performance to him. It's really cool. And you can hear that on the track I chose. Probably, I mean, I think it's pretty undisputed. Their most famous record is "I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning," which was released in, was it 2005? Yes, I'm a musical.
Nice.
I'm a musical historian. So, whatever. Anyways, the closing track is "Road to Joy," which is probably my favorite Bright Eye song. I don't know how normie of a pick that is, but man, it's a great one. I mean, you just get everything that makes Bright Eyes so good in this track. Not only is it nice and emotional, it's another one of those great emotional release tracks that kind of I was talking at the beginning. Although it's not as like fierce for the most part as Sacrifice, is. It has this build up to this crazy explosion of noise and trumpets, which you'll hear in a second. But lyrically, it's another really strong track. Lyrically, it's kind of, it feels like Connor guys feels like he's kind of listing all the injustices he sees in the world, which, considering when this was written, definitely a lot of references to the Iraq War. I guess you can kind of, any like references to war, you can kind of take it as a metaphor, but I think it's probably a little more literal than I thought it was when I did my research for this episode. But man, like you can just take a lot from this track. There's definitely some depression themes you can find in this one too. I just think it's a really strong track. And Ben, would you mind playing us a clip of that song?
You got it.
So when you're asked to fight a war that's over nothing, it's best to join the side that's gonna win. And no one's sure how all of this got started, but we're gonna make them goddamn certain how it's gonna end. Oh yeah, we will. Oh yeah, we will. Been a famous singer if I had someone else's voice, but failures always sounded better. Let's fuck it up, boys. Make some noise!
What do you think of that?
Neutral Milk Hotel.
Yeah,
I mean, that is
hear
very. It does remind me a lot of those, like, new, like, indie folk music coming from the late '90s, early 2000s. I mean, they were right there in that scene.
I know. I love this track though. I think I actually have heard this once before because you were playing it, and I saw you were listening to it on Spotify, and I was just like, oh, Bright Eyes, I gotta check it out. And this song blew me away in particular. I just love like, let's make some noise.
Yeah, that's really great. That actually reminds me of on Content Nausea, I think, one of the lesser Parquet Courts records. It's the one, it has a few different covers on it. There's a cover of Slide Machine by the 13th Floor Elevators, but there's a cover of Nancy Sinatra's These Boots Are Made for Walkin'. At the end of the original version of that song, she says, start walking, and then the horn fill comes in and it like fades out immediately, and it always felt like the greatest, pardon my French, cock block in like music history.
Yeah.
So then the Parquet Courts version is pretty similar, but at the start walking part, they have all this like crazy feedback and stuff come in, and that's kind of how I felt with that. Is there's just like this call to action to the instruments, and then there's just a cacophony of stuff.
Sound, I know.
And it's also a really good, not to interrupt, but that's also a soundcheck thing. But it's also a really good, it's a good example of like taking a really dramatic vocal that would work over like, a lot of distorted guitars or something, and recontextualizing it into folkier kind of sense almost, in a way that really works.
Yeah, like they do have a lot of slower, more somber tracks than. I mean, this track's still kind of somber to begin with, but it's not slow. This is one of the more. explosive side of stuff. If you ever listen to the song "The Calendar Hung Itself," it's on an earlier record. I forget the name of it, but yeah, they do have their faster paced, more quote unquote explosive stuff, but they still always kind of keep it folky in a weird way. I think they're really good at that.
Yeah.
And you know, this is a closing track. I mean, come on, how can you how can you not ask for a better closer than with like that part, screaming.
It's kind of like the big fist pump freeze frame at the end of like a cheesy 80s movie where it's like no matter what, it's going to leave you feeling pretty good.
Yeah. Even though the movie as a whole in this case is really sad and like Broad Eyes is there's no two cents about it. It's like some of the ultimate white sad boy music. But it's really good.
It's right up my alley.
Yeah, I was going to say, at the end of the day...
Isn't that what we all are?
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah.
Break time. We're back. Sorry, we had to go to a break, and I have a very good popsicle joke for everyone. Music related. Why did the song get a good grade on the test?
Because it was an album closer.
Bob Dylan's song.
He wrote a lot of notes.
God.
I think I haven't finished mine yet, but I think mine literally, the setup is literally just, when is a door not a door?
When it's not a door.
A lot of time, well, I don't know. But talking about a lot of notes, we're going to talk about my longest pick, which is a 10-minute Bob Dylan song. No surprise.
In character.
I'm remaining firmly in my character for my last pick. Bob Dylan has made many a long song over his career. Most recently, "Murder Most Foul," which is over 20 minutes on the death of John F. Kennedy and the ripples of that affected American society, which is overly long. But this one is definitely not. This comes from the much maligned 1976 live album "Hard Rain." I've looked at period reviews of this album, and people seem to trash it, and I don't really know why. It's definitely a... What?
I'm trying to stare at you as hard as I can.
Thank you. Thank you for your attention. Yeah. It's definitely... Bob Dylan has done this stupid thing over his career where he... puts out live albums of like his worst performances for some reason. A lot of his live albums from his discography as it was happening are pretty bad, but Hard Rain is the outlier to that. It's the second leg of the Rolling Thunder tour, so Mark Ronson is gone. A lot of the more famous musicians are gone, but the main core of players are there. And a significant thing about this is that it was recorded during a massive rainstorm, hence the title referencing an early Bob Dylan song. And Bob plays all the solos on this, and he's not the best guitarist, but he really has a really good energy to his playing, and it shines through on all this stuff. It's a really, really rough record, like very ramshackle. So I can see how people didn't like it, especially coming off of albums like Blood on the Tracks and the one after that, Desire, that were at least somewhat polished and very orchestrated. So getting back to this more back to basics rock sound is crazy compared to those. It's quite the contrast. But Bob had also recently, he was going through or had finally come out of a rocky divorce to his wife, which is a lot of what Blood on the Tracks is about and a lot of what Desire is about. And he sings this song, a Blood on the Tracks cut, Idiot Wind, just violently. Like, you can tell he's really full of a lot of negative emotions, and he lets all that show. I'm going to play you like the last verse up to the ending. And there's video of this performance, which is rare for Rolling Thunder stuff. I highly suggest you seek that entire special out, because this is high quality Dylan. Maybe not the place to start if you aren't familiar, but if you're into him, you'll be into this.
Every time I come into your door, you leave me standing in the middle of the air. Down the highway, down the tracks, down the road to ecstasy, I followed you beneath the stars, haunted by your memory, and I
So maybe not the best mixed or the best
No.
technically performed.
Back the fuck up, though, for a second. Okay? I think that's the best contrast in instruments and vocals I've ever heard in a Bob Dylan song. Because, I don't know why you're thinking this mix is terrible. He's so growly in this mix, but, like, the only thing that can stand with him is the rhythm section, the drum and bass. The bass is, like, overdriven. The drums are, like, kind of sloppy. But there's so much contrast with, like, the brighter, sort of lighter side of things with the slide and the other guitars that kind of build this, like, perfect contrast. I don't know. If you could point me to other Bob Dylan that's mixed or sounds like that,
Yeah.
I'd be pretty happy.
Yeah, this is, there's a documentary on this tour, specifically the first leg on Netflix that's like 2.5 hours. And this, off the cuff, for my money, is probably the best band he ever put together. Just a absolute, I mean, there's a reason that this was called the Rolling Thunder Review. Like, there is just it's a complete explosion of sound, and it's some of his most emotionally moving stuff, and he retools songs that were already great and puts out the best version of them time after time, night after night. And it's just like, it's shit like this. This is why he's a really rewarding favorite artist, because it feels kind of like a never-ending wealth of stuff.
Yeah, as like Bad Religion. No, but no, seriously, this is cool. I enjoyed this. Never really heard such a forceful performance from Dylan on here that I heard on here, and it was interesting to say the least. I wanted to say this with your last pick, Ben, but I forgot to say it then, so I'll say it now. Mm-hmm. I did not think at all to go to live records for album closers, and obviously for any set, it's idealistic for any band to have pick a great not only last track to perform there, but a great performance as well.
I would even go as far to say you kind of cheated by going off a live record.
You think so?
Yeah. Fuck you.
You went off to, wow, okay. We do not, Mike, we do not need this animosity on my last episode.
No, we do not.
Anyways, yes, that was really cool. And as a palate cleanser from Michael's, uncalled for aggressive. I have a popsicle joke. I mentioned, what is a door, not a door? It's a very pondered question indeed. I have the answer
This
now.
is what Aristotle was thinking about.
Yeah. And his conclusion, when it's ajar.
What?
When it's ajar.
Oh, like when it's open.
Yeah.
Anyway, Weezer. That's
really
my
stupid.
pick.
Move on.
It was so bad.
So yeah, Weezer. Go ahead, Ben. Play it.
What? No explanation?
Her to dance. She says, hey baby, I just might take the chance. You say it's a good thing that you float in the air. That way there's no way I will crush your pretty toenails into 1,000 pieces. Only in dreams we see what it means. Reach out our hands, hold on to hers. But when we wake, it's all been erased. And so it seems, only in dreams.
So Weezer. That is Only in Dreams, the last song on the Blue album, which is, I think I've come to the realization, the best like 90s alternative rock album
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've ping-ponged on this record, your opinion on this record, so many times since I've known you.
I've always loved Blue.
I know you always have. I know there's been plenty of times where you're like, Pinkerton's the best, and then I know there's one point where you're even having a cooling off period, but wow, that's a strong statement, Michael.
I love the Blue album. I think it's like just like perfect. I don't know. And maybe it was all those years I spent with this being the only CD in my car, but
That helps.
I got my Weezer fill.
Honestly,
And,
I mean, like seriously, memes aside,
okay.
Blue is great because you had a band feverishly working on just a small set of songs for a really long time, and then brought in one of the greatest pop musicians of all time in Rick Ocasek and to produce. Like, it's just the perfect storm of everything for that album to make a great poppy rock album, you know?
Yeah.
Like, everything's there. It's just, I don't know. I really do, jokes aside, I really do love Weezer. As much as they can be truly horrible, they can also be really amazing.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but like more specifically on Only in Dreams, we can focus that. I mean, the bass line is just off the top, just like so memorable and so good. And I think, Rivers, his vocals in this one soar pretty well as well. I think the acoustic, I love how acoustic guitar just appears on the Blue album. Like it comes in these short but memorable bursts. Whether it's like the beginning of My Name Is Jonas or or this one, it's just like they use acoustic guitar so well all over the Blue album. And I don't know, the album, if I was to do like a reflection, just like I see myself like on a boat in the middle of the ocean, like you feel it, and like I don't know, maybe Dinosaur Jr.'s there, Sebado's there. I'm like playing shuffleboard with the bassist.
Well,
or
yeah.
something.
I mean, I can imagine myself in that same scenario, and I imagine like, I'm there I've dragged my loved one along, and then I get up. I'm with the band. I'm with Pat.
Yeah.
I'm with Rivers, and then I get down on my knee and I propose to my loved one in front of the band while we're taking a
trying
picture.
to get me to go on this stupid cruise. My God. Even though I get tired of it and I still refuse to go on their dumb cruise, I will say the Blue record is great. And you mentioned incel lyrics earlier, Ben, and I think that applies more here to this record. Not all songs. I think.
How could you say that?
Weezer.
Listen. You can't, like, certain songs, not Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly is actually one of the most wholesome singles of the entire 90s. I love Buddy Holly for that. It's probably, even though it's a cliche pick, it's probably my favorite song off the record because of that. But All Your Dreams, you can't avoid, some of these lyrics, maybe not the most well-aged.
Right.
Because of that. However, musically, I mean, it's spot on. I mean, it has, again, the bass line's iconic, like Michael said. And that slow build is chef's kiss. I mean, I remember the first time I heard the Blue record, I'm like, I don't even know how much of a long song guy I was at that point, but I recognized its genius musically from that point. I mean, the solos are great. The production's spot on. And just that build is so great. I remember thinking, wow, this is an album closer. And it was inevitable that you're going to bring this one on the show, Michael, and I'm glad you did.
Only in Dreams is a really good album closer because it doesn't try to be anything more than it is. It's not like a crazy operatic thing with super unintelligible words or crazy lyrics or crazy guitar solos or anything off the charts. It's just a really good amalgamation of everything that's great about the Blue album in a song that gives it enough space to breathe.
There you go. It's Andrew's last pick.
I was gonna say and I cheated. I have two songs in this spot because it's my last episode. Let me indulge, please. The reason I put these two together because they're from the same artist, and I guess we're going back to the normie picks, but I'm okay with that. We're talking about the Foo Fighters. A band I don't think we've talked. We've definitely had discussions about them before, but I don't know if we've had any real dissections of any of their songs or music, as far as I remember.
No.
I think we talked about...
So we talked about our live experience a lot.
Talking about a live experience, I think we also talked about the cover of Baker Street, which is really good, off our covers episode. It's really good. I think you'd like it, Ben.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
Do you like Gary Rafferty?
Yeah, I like that song. It's a great song.
So it is a great song on their cover. I would argue it's even better than the original. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about their album, 2 album closes they have. And I think they've had a lot of strong ones over the years. Exhausted off the debut comes to mind. I Am the River, as much as I'm not crazy about Sonic Highways, I can't deny that that's a pretty strong album closer.
Weezer reference, of course.
Huh?
Weezer reference.
It is?
Weezer reference. River like Rivers Cuomo.
Continue, Andrew.
Stay tuned next season for the Weezer reference drop.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things that you're gonna miss is we are gonna have a soundboard.
Yeah. We'll see.
It'll
be morning
see how
morning
it
zoo
goes.
radio.
You're gonna become like Howard Stern. My God. Anyways. But the 2 closing tracks from Foo Fighter records that I brought here is Walk and New Way Home. We'll start with Walk, since that one's probably...
Oh, yeah. Can I talk about that one? Just for a second?
Sure.
Walk is my favorite song about sort of a pan that you use for Asian cuisine.
What? I don't even get that joke. I'm so confused. What?
W-O-K. Yeah. Walk.
Keep going.
Go on.
We got to give you a hard time. This is your last pick.
Anyways. Oh my God, I can't take this. So we'll start with Walk, because that's more. It's a single. Closer to Wasting Light. I'm sure it won him a lot of Grammys, as that record did. And my God, Wasting Light is the last truly great Foo Fighters record. I will argue that. Sorry, Michael. I know you like Sonic Highways, but no, it's Wasting Light for me. I talked about that record, I think, a lot in our decades wrap-up episode from a few episodes ago. I don't know how much. I don't know if we played Walk, if that was the one. I don't know, but my God, it's one of their most well-known songs, one of their biggest singles, and for good reasons. It's so good. Wasting Light is certainly far from a true concept record, but there is a very loose narrative, I feel, that you can kind of piece throughout those songs. I mean, there's definitely highs and lows emotions. Bridge Burning is this really bleak opener, but you feel like you go through kind of this journey, this emotional journey throughout the whole record. And it caps off with Walk, which is one of the most triumphant songs you will ever hear. I remember hearing that when I heard that live the first time I saw the Foo Fighters, the show we both went to, Michael, before we even knew each other. I was certainly a very wonderful moment to have, because I love that song so much, and it was really cool to hear that live. It's an anthem. I don't know. I don't know what to say. You just have to kind of experience it. It's just kind of it's format. It's structured weird, in a weird way, but it leads to just a great bridge. It's so good. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts about Walk?
It was the first song that I learned when I played with my shitty high school cover band.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Very nice.
I really have fond memories of it for that reason. And just I think Sonic Highways is great. I think everyone.
Hey, listen, I like Sonic Highways is fine. I like a lot of the songs off there. I don't know. I think it was just the hype of that record, kind of. It didn't live up to it, but no, I don't want to disparage you. I think Sonic Highways is a good record, Michael.
But
Wasting
Light is a fantastic record as well.
I told you my opinion.
Ben doesn't fight Foos.
I have not fought the Foos quite yet.
That's understandable. I would play a clip, but we've gone on for way too long, and I think everyone's heard Walk by now. So the one that I really want to kind of focus on is a lesser-known album close, a lesser-known song of theirs that comes at the very end of The Color and the Shape. Again, if you go into Spotify, you might be thinking I'm cheating here, because at Spotify, the last track is listed, The Color and the Shape, the title track. Even though that was like a bonus track that was released like the 10th anniversary.
Which is a fantastic song.
The Color and Shape is a great song, but it's not the true last song on this album, so ignore it. The original release, the last song was New Way Home. Which of the original songs, according to Spotify, is the least played track on the entire record, which I'm calling blasphemy, because it's so underrated. I love this song. It in a similar vein, it has this really triumphant like energy to it. I read this is from a Genius description, so take this with a very strong pinch of salt. But I think someone said that from an interview that Dave Grohl did, he kind of like meant for this to be kind of like a capstone to making the record. I think he was kind of nervous or worried how this record was going to come out, because the Color and the Shape did have kind of a tumultuous recording process. I think the drummer left at that time. Dave kind of screwed over that original drummer, which does suck. But New Way Home was kind of his triumphant, like his kind of coming to terms, like, no, I can actually do this, is kind of what I got from it. And I don't know, like, again, I think, and this kind of applies to Walk as well, I think there is a subtle genius with the way Dave writes his lyrics. They're usually pretty vague, but like well written. There's still some like poeticism to it, but they're vague enough where they're well written enough where you know it meant a lot to Dave when he's singing, but they're vague enough where you can apply your own like experiences to it, which I think is always a good balance. Is always nice to hit, because it can make it so much more personal to the listener, not just the singer. And I think New Way Home kind of has that too. So if you don't mind, Ben, do you want to play a clip of New Way Home, which starts off at like in the middle of the song, it kind of drops to like a barely audible level, and then it picks itself back up to one of the most highly explosive moments you'll ever hear in music. It's seriously amazing, and I really wanted to play this for you all. So let's hear it. The tension in that build-up is so good, and Dave is just one of the best screamers I've ever heard.
Oh, Dave.
You know, wow, he really is. It's so good, and I don't know. Whenever someone asks me like, what are some great album closers, my mind immediately goes to Walk and New Way Home. I think those are some of the best album closers that have ever been written.
Yeah, I that is really really good. From like that 5 seconds, like it happens again. This happens a lot actually, where I'll come in and I just have like, you know, I know what I like. I know what I've been listening to recently, but I'll usually hear a few songs every episode where I'm like, I got to check more of that out, and that is awesome.
Yeah, that whole record's so good, and it's like, and the original runtime is like, 50. Well, I guess added with the bonus track, almost 50 minutes long, and that's just such a, it again, kind of like Wasting a Light. There's a bit of a journey with that record, and I think that's just a great cap to it.
Yeah.
What do you think about this one, Michael?
I'm getting back into Foo Fighters recently, which I'm proud to say. After I heard that song off the new record, I started going back to like the later releases. I think, spare your judgment, I think Concrete and Gold is a fine album. I've gone back and listened to some of those songs. I like it. I've reawakened my love for Sonic Highways, for the early stuff. I think Dave Grohl is just a fucking awesome musician, man.
He is.
Like, I don't know. At the end of the day, say what you will about the guy. Like, he's kind of cringy in his old age, but he's still just like a great musician, and he always will be.
Yeah, he's the guy. He's a great drummer. He's a great like vocalist and frontman. I mean, like seeing him live is just something else. Like I've seen him live twice now. I think I preferred the first time I saw him, but man,
Yeah, when we saw him sitting down the whole time.
yeah, he's on like his rock throne that I think he sold to like Axl Rose afterward. It just became lame. But no, when he was on it, that was awesome. That was so cool, and it's so crazy like how much energy he was able to put into that set while just sitting down. And you know, one of my true tragedies from seeing that live is that I didn't get to hear New Way Home live. That would have just put a great capstone. That is honestly how I think they should end every live set, is with that song.
Yeah.
It's so
Unfortunately, in America, they're just going to play Everlong twice.
Damn.
Yeah.
good. Yeah, which Everlong's great, but yeah, it sucks. I don't know, this song in particular, do you like it?
Yes, I did. I loved it a lot. I love it, the build up, like you were talking about. I don't know. I think The Color and the Shape is another one of those just like classic alternative rock records. But we need to. I don't know what a good segue into the next segment would be. But it's not recommendations.
We're not going to do recommendations yet?
No, we're not. Ben and I have some things to give you, Andrew.
Oh no.
Some things. We have some things for you.
Oh, good. Oh, okay. I wasn't expecting this. Actually,
yeah,
I kind of
this
was.
is gift-
Ben slightly hinted at to
Yeah,
me
I accidentally slightly spoiled it, but that's okay.
Okay. Well, can you do
bit.
yours first?
Well, yeah. Let's. He doesn't know what it is, but let's do it. Let's do the jingle. Of course, we have a pre-planned jingle, Michael, which goes like this: Gift time. Gift time. It is now gift time.
This sounds
Gift
like
time.
Gift
Blues
time.
Clues.
It is now gift time.
It sounds like we're in an episode of Blues Clues now.
we did not rehearse that.
I couldn't tell.
We're gonna have a lot more improv prompts next year. A lot more me throwing people under the bus.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just seemed
God.
appropriate. Giving gifts is kind of one of my love languages. I'm not great at it, but whatever. This is for you, Andrew. This calls back to when we first did the show together. This is the first volume of Pebbles, a great garage rock comp. This is a reissue, which doesn't have as extensive of liner notes, but it's still really good. I think I got that in Florida a while ago.
This is really cool. The Litter, I know them.
It's good stuff.
The Squires sound familiar.
Yeah, there is the Squires version of the Preacher's version of Who Do You Love is awesome. Also, there's a cover of Like a Rolling Stone that just sounds like Louie, basically.
Yeah. There's a band called, what was it? The Positively 13 O'Clock. I wonder if that's a reference to another garage like band. I really like the Haunted song 125. That's great.
Show it to the camera.
Here's
if you gotta shoot
for the video.
Shadow of Night. This is cool.
It's good stuff. I believe the Shadows of Night song is a rare one. Can I see that? I want to remember what's on here. So the Shadows of Night song is called Potato Chip, which was actually an advertisement for potato chips. And then the last song on here,
kind of like the spray paint song from what was that one band? What was it?
The Hampton Grease Band.
Yeah.
And the last song on here is the truly tasteless Beaver Patrol by the Wild Knights, which you can guess what that's about.
Well, sure it's not like, or it's probably fits right next to Dog Police by the band Dog Police.
Yeah, it's not about wild animals. Well, it's sung by wild animals.
You might have this already, Andrew. If you do, that's okay. We can just cut this out, I guess. But like, I told you. If the first one I got is a book, and I told you to read this like the first time we met, and it's really never came up since. So I got it wrapped in a Subway.
Wow.
A little crummy. It was from this morning.
Some beautiful Subway wrapping paper.
That's cool. Oh my God! Please kill me. Yeah. The Uncensored Oral History of Punk. I probably have seen this everywhere. I don't have this.
That is a great book.
That is regarded as like the modern punk Bible.
Yeah,
it's
that's
very
excellent.
well written.
So what time frames does this cover?
All of it, from what I can tell.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, honestly. I read that in high school.
I mean, you got... Isn't that the Strokes on the cover?
No, that's actually Richard Hell and the Heartbreakers.
Okay, that looks like
96. Okay, so this would... No, well... Yeah, copyright 96, so this would have gone to release
it focuses on, like, it's got proto-punk stuff, it's got the New York scene, obviously, like some West Coast, I think, as well.
Piss Factory.
Well, the Legs McNeil and Gillian McCain, who wrote that, they were both staff at Punk Magazine in New York.
Oh, okay.
Which is, of course, the seminal early punk rag that came out and documented the CBGB scene.
Right.
And yeah, that is it. That's a great gift, Michael. That's an excellent book.
It's a
This is
good
really
one.
cool.
Yeah, some light reading over the summer if you have time for it.
Yeah, hopefully you have some time
Yeah.
and you can dig
So-
into that.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's really cool. Yeah,
That's a great one.
Yeah, looks like they released through the 80s at the end. Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome.
The
Thank you,
second
Michael.
gift.
Wow, what,
he's
there's
showing me
more?
up.
Yeah, I have a second gift.
My God.
Harkening back to the first episode I was ever on.
Wow. We didn't even
which was
coordinate
Jack
that.
White, White Stripes sort of thing. I have told the story before of how I stood in like 2 hours of just like blistering cold to get a hold of some limited edition pressings when Third Man first opened its vinyl press in Detroit.
Cass Corridor, yeah.
Yep. And I mainly went to get the Stooges self-titled, but I wasn't able to get it because it was too late. But I have no grief or like remorse giving this to you because I think it's going to be pretty good. But this is the limited edition one day only
What?
pressing of the White
my-
Stripes debut.
What
Wow.
What are you giving me this for?
You got to have it. It's yours, man.
My God, I
I
feel
really
almost
love
bad
this.
taking it from you. What?
No. Don't feel bad at all. Show the vinyl to the camera. It has this awesome like ruby red vinyl.
So
this
that's,
was
oh, it's like cherry red. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
That's like
Beautiful.
a one day thing right there. I was gonna give you my my test pressing that I won in a raffle
Of this
there.
record?
Of of the first record that ever came off the plant there that I won. In a raffle.
Wow.
But that was a little too important to me. So this was
no.
the next best thing. I have
Dude,
no
you
remorse
You
giving
didn't
it.
even need to go this far.
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I
that's
need
awesome.
you need to have this. You need to have this.
Why do I need to have it?
Because it was the first episode I was on. It was the first White Stripes.
Well, you're gonna make me cry, Michael. Then I will always think of you when I pull this one
Yeah,
out
man.
off the shelf.
That's
As I
great.
will with the garage rock. I always think I have other, not this one. I have other garage rock compilations. I always think of you, Ben, but now I have an actual physical representation of both your record collections in my thing. It's very sweet, man. I feel so bad. I didn't get you guys a gift.
That's okay. I mean, it's
wasn't even expecting
your
gifts.
last episode.
I know,
Yes.
but I wasn't even expecting gifts. Well, it's very sweet of you guys.
When you
Thank
come back, you can bring us something then.
Okay. I feel like I'm in debt now. No, man. This is,
Yeah, you'll be dead in Midland. All the people are gonna kill you.
I said dead. Not
Dude, the people who live in Midland they're gonna see that jacket and they're gonna come after you.
You're right.
Yeah,
They're
with
gonna
target
try to
on my
steal
back.
your custom.
I
You
wore
can't,
this.
you can't shit talk the Midland population. You are on record right now.
I'm not going to. I was going to say that I did wear this jacket in Huron County, which is rural Michigan. So you know what? If I can wear it there, I think I can get away with wearing it.
He can wear it anywhere.
But no, that's again, Susan. Thank you guys. It's very sweet of you. Really
you-
appreciate it.
Before recommendations, did you want to ruminate on Soundcheck at all anymore? Or did you want to do that after? or-
Let's do Rex first.
Okay,
I think.
Okay.
Let's go right into Rex.
Andrews or Ben's?
I believe I'm first. So Andrew backed both Michael and I into a corner for these,
What?
sort of. And
I don't think that's how it
he
went.
forced us.
Yeah.
In his final act as leader of the podcast to recommend the stuff that we had shown him that he liked the best, basically. So like stuff that
you guys recommended me, like my favorite things that you guys have each recommended me.
Right.
And I don't think we've and the songs that I had you guys bring forward, I don't think either one of you had brought this recommended on the show before, which is why I think it worked out perfectly. I would have brought Loomer for mine, but I think or I don't know what yours would. The equivalent for yours would be Ben, but I think I've already recommended all of them on the show already. So
yeah, mine is actually pretty recent. I showed this this next song to Andrew a few months ago. It was after we were recording, I think, or before.
I think it was after recording.
Yeah, we were both in the office still working on homework, and I was just listening to stuff while I was doing it, and I was listening to my 60s playlist, and this came on, and I was like, you know what? This would really work for Andrew. I'm going to play A Child of a Few Hours is Burning to Death by the West Coast pop art experimental band
Could you tell why this might appeal to me?
Yeah, and that name is very true. They were early pioneers in putting together psychedelic music and psychedelic rock with avant-garde influence, especially on this album, which gets a pretty poor rating on AllMusic. I'm not sure if it's great or not. I know this song and 18 Years is Over the Hill is also a really great song.
That one's good too.
But this album, their fourth, entitled Volume 3, A Child's Guide to Good and Evil, is really excellent. And this song is a great anti-war, anti-napalm song specifically, that's very, very sarcastic and just has a really demented sound. It's so dark that I would consider it ahead of its time, even if some of the production might be considered dated. It has sort of like a Creedence Clearwater swampy guitar part as well. It's just a really good mash of influences that end up with a really, really cool psych rock song. So I'm going to play a little bit of that.
A child of a few hours is burning to death. Her eyes are full of smoke. Her mouth is full of fire. Napalm is perfect for women and children. Forgive us, forgive us. We should have called Susie and Bobby. They like to watch fires. Pretend it's not happening. It will be clipped out of tomorrow's new show. After the funeral, after the feast, baby, with so many bodies at our feet. We should have called Susie and Bobby. They like to watch fires. We all are nothing but soft, moist people with soft, moist hands folded over our buttons, silently sleeping, cold and unmoving, doing nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a really grotesque kind of song.
It is, and but that's what I really like with anti-war song. Like this was so cool because you just like you said, we were both working on homework. We were just in the Same Life office, and you just kind of like waddled over, and you're like, "Hey, I think you should check out this song." And you remember, I've heard the name. I've seen cover art to their record Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
A lot around looking through garage, like into psychedelic music from the 60s. And but I hadn't heard this song at all. This was like the first time ever. You should listen to it. I'm like, oh, okay. And I did. And Ben, you're like right on the money because anyone knows me, I love anti-war songs like a lot. And something like that just really hits me. I really like war songs because I referenced Edwin Starr's War earlier. I'm not a big fan of that one because it's just, in the end of the day, it's just saying war is bad and like not really explaining why. Like
Right.
this is a song that gets to the nitty gritty. It's like, no, war is bad because war crimes happen and like napalm is a thing. And and I hadn't really heard a lot of songs that even references the practice of using napalm. REM did it with Orange Crush, but Agent Orange has done it a couple times because, I'll even think that was more the chemical Agent Orange. So it's the REM song. I get Agent Orange and Napalm up mixed up sometimes, but when we're talking about using a chemical warfare like that in Vietnam, just not a lot of songs about it, which sucks because there's obviously a lot of songs written during
Right.
the time of the Vietnam War. So that was, I had never heard of that before, and you added just a great anti-war track to my anti-war playlist. So really appreciated that one, Ben. Thank you for showing it to me.
Of course. Yeah, I love that one. Michael.
Yeah, my recommendation, unbeknownst to Andrew, now you guys know the story, is a Canyon recommendation.
Oh, the great
Canyon from Jets.
The pizza man.
Yeah.
The pizza.
He one time I was working the shift as I do, got my Jets gear on, I'm cutting those pizzas just perfectly, and I turned to Canyon and I'm like, hey man, I really want to get into some sort of international music. I want to listen to stuff outside the U.S. I want to listen to some cultural music, some traditional music, mainly because at the time I was probably watching a lot of Anthony Bourdain, and I just wanted to immerse myself in some cultural experience. I was also getting really into anthropology and stuff. So he recommended me this this album right here by Exuma, and the album's called Eczema. The
OB man.
Yeah.
I believe.
Eczema is known professionally as Tony McKay. Eczema is a persona that he takes on, but this music is derived from traditional calypso, Bahamian, sort of like
Junkanoo is the term, right?
Junkanoo, yeah. There's tons of different mixtures in here, but we're you're getting into some sort of like kind of on the sea, Pirates of the Caribbean sort of vibes. But it's written in this way where it's so serious and it's so spiritual, and you have this sort of like awakening when you hear it. I could go really in depth about the story I was hearing. When I first listened to this, because I was really sick this particular time I worked at Jets, probably from working at Jets. I was very sick.
Well, that's comforting for everybody there.
And the next day, I was just bedridden. I was horribly ill, and falling in and out of sleep, and sort of in this dream state, high on meds, obviously. And I listened to this, and I had like I arose a different person. It was pretty. A very spiritual,
transcendental
interaction. Here's a quote for you. In a 1970 interview, McKay, as Eczema, said, "The electrical part of his being came from beyond Mars down to Earth on a lightning bolt. He described his music as all the music that has ever been written and all the music not yet written."
Damn.
So, with that being said, go ahead, Ben.
Well, what could possibly live up to that?
The sun is shining in the night. Zombies walking in the broad daylight. Zombie, he done lost his soul. Zombie, he don't ever get old. Lord of darkness, king of light. Come here on this stormy night. There is no star in the sky. I see fire in the dead man's eyes. Mama light, Papa light. I see fire in the dead man's eyes. Mama light, Papa light.
It's
what
pretty.
What song was the title of that track?
That was titled Mama Loy Papa Loy. I don't really. I would have to dedicate a lot of time and research to understand where the folklore of that song came from. But I mean the whole. I want to call it an album, but it's more of like an EP. It's just so good, and it's like, it's one of those things that's just like so perfectly hidden. And like it's becoming more of a cult thing.
Do you have that
years.
On vinyl?
I don't.
You do. So I knew someone found it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, Michael, you kind of sent that song in particular to me and Ben kind of over winter break.
Yeah,
I think it was the winter break before COVID hit, and I was just kind of sitting in my basement, not doing anything. I was just enjoying my winter break, and then you just dropped to this song and say, "Hey, you guys need to check this out. This is like really good." You were hyping this like really hard.
This was right after I awoke from my spiritual journey
of being ill.
Yeah, of being ill. And I sent it to Ben and Andrew right away. I'm like, you have to hear this.
And it was like, and I was like, all right, I'll check this out. And then I was blown away by that song, and just the atmosphere was parallel to nothing I'd heard. Everyone knows I love a good atmosphere in a track, and that just hit me perfectly. And Yeah, and then I listened to the whole record right there, and it was so unique. The mix of sounds and everything that he brought into that, it was just so cool. And unfortunately, it has like one album on Spotify, but there's a lot more. There's like a ton that you can find there. All of his records are a little hard to find, but I looked for this album every time I went to like a record store. I would look for this one, and like all like the world music sections, which I hate that term, but it's there. I would look in the rock. I would look in whatever, and my girlfriend eventually just got it for me off of Discogs or something like that for like I think Christmas. So, which thank you to her for that, because that was really cool. And this record, I love it a lot, and I always think of you when I hear it, Michael, because you're the one who threw it to me, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I want the record to kind of show an example of the problem with the world music section. Okay,
it's a bit racist. Let's just say that there's all.
There's that, but also it's such an easily overlooked thing. I'd say take like a good few months out of your life and only listen to music in another language, and you will arise a changed person.
Yeah,
definitely.
I went through a spout of like listening to only like music from Latin America for a while over the summer. And that was really amazing. I discovered a lot of new artists, a lot of Brazilian folk that I just fell in love with. I dedicated a lot of time to Norwegian folk music. Like to this day, like my partner is very into just cultural music in general, so she's always turning me on to new things.
Definitely,
it's a really important thing to add to your sort of music mindset, you know. But what do you think, Ben?
Oh, I mean, this is great. I actually knew this song before you recommended it. I have no idea where it came from. Probably my Discover Weekly, which is usually pretty awesome, surprisingly.
Mine is not.
Most people's are not. But if you really curate it and say, I really don't like this, and give it its time every week, it can be very rewarding. But beyond that, I was really surprised when you sent this in, because wow, like over 2 years ago now, right? Before COVID, or
about a year and a half.
A year and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know. It just wasn't what I was expecting, having done the show for a little while, and it's very swampy and very like, I don't know. It reminded me some in the best way of like, I haven't talked about it in a long time, but I have a very vast collection of Halloween related music or paranormal themed or things like that from the 50s through the 70s digitally, and it reminded me a lot of that stuff in the best ways, but like beyond that as well. It's definitely not novelty at all. It's a very, very unique sonic atmosphere that really calls to mind, like, just, I don't know, it's very menacing and it feels like a horror movie almost.
It really does, but it's so cool. I love that track. So.
It's excellent.
Thank you for bringing both those songs.
Right.
And now,
of course, it's time for Andrew's last recommendation.
I'm going to extend it out quite a bit. I actually had a list of songs I wanted to like recommend before the season ended. I barely got through that, but that's fine. It all makes do with what I have. And I will say this, though. Come narrowing down songs for this episode is very difficult for me. I can find myself a lot of great tracks I want to go to. So here are two other kind of lesser known bands that I would like to highlight here. And the first one is I don't know much about the band. Saint Seneca, I want to say. Saint Seneca. I'm going to say that's how it is. I'm pretty sure from this album, Your Way, Michael, or at least this track before, Your Way Once, Michael. I don't know if you remember it, but the 2018 record, Pillar of Na, it was pretty good. Some pretty strong songs off of there, but the one that still kind of sticks with me is the closer, Pillar, the self-titled Closer. It's almost 9 minutes long, and it's so cool. It's pretty folky. It's, definitely a lot of acoustic stuff to it, but it definitely has these really cool shifts in tone and rhythm throughout the entire song. It almost has like 3 separate parts. It's a really cool track. I've wanted to recommend this on the episode for a long time. I don't know why it's taken me this long, to be quite honest, but it's okay. We can save it now for here. Here's the closer, the self-titled Closer to Pillar of Na. We're going to kind of go from the transition from part 1 to part 2.
Solid.
Solid.
That's very cool.
This is strange, almost lo-fi, especially if you hear like the earlier just straight acoustic parts. There's almost this weird lo-fi quality to it. I always thought that was really cool.
It's got that I Want to Be Your Dog, one single key. Dun, 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 dun. You know
Yeah,
what I'm talking about.
it's really cool.
Next.
Yeah. So wait, wow. Thanks.
I'm kidding.
No, but I know we gotta move this along. The other track I want to bring is from again another band I don't know much about. They don't have a lot of records, but they're a cool psych rock band that's kind of exists between like the turn of 2010. The band is called the Dolly Rock Movement. The album Our Days, Mine at the Time. And the closer is called The Ecstasy Once Told. I don't really know the lyrics to this one very well. Probably don't need to based on the title. I imagine if I were to look into this, it would disappoint me, kind of like how Splash 1 by the 13th Floor Elevators did, where I thought it was like a really like, oh, it's going to be a really deep, meaningful track, because the track was like really spare and beautiful, but no, it's just about doing ecstasy for the first time, which I imagine for someone doing it for the first time, it probably is a world-changing, experience, and perhaps that's what this was about too.
That's an episode for next season. We all do ecstasy.
You can count me out of that one, but I would definitely watch that. but no, seriously, this is man, yeah, this song is beautiful. Like honestly, it's a little repetitive because it's kind of like they do kind of hammer this one riff and hook down a lot, but hey, it's really good. It is. Honestly, I was so close to bringing this on the main section, but I wanted to make room for other stuff. So we'll play a clip here, and I want to see what you guys think about it. That's how you do a slow burn album close. It don't all need to be like big, impactful stuff. You can just have a really nice, pretty song to kind of cap off the sound. What do you guys think about that?
I definitely agree. And it's fitting that this is being brought on in our closing songs.
That sounds, it sounds really, it has like some Western, like spaghetti Western soundtrack elements as well, especially with the big vocals and like that really springy guitar lead. Like I hear it's like sort of psyche Western sound. That sounds really cool.
You should send it to Elio. Bet he'd really love it.
Oh yeah, I forgot. He loves spaghetti Western music. I should. And then one more. I know I'm indulging myself here, but there was one artist I definitely knew I wanted to recommend in the last episode. And speaking of Elio, he may have already done this, but I don't care. That was forever ago. I wanted to recommend the band Dead Sarah for a very special reason, because if you were for whatever reason, long-time listener of the show, you would have already heard this band at least once, even if you didn't know it, because for the first 2 seasons, we used one of the tracks off their debut record, which is self-titled, as the intro. We Are What You Say. I'm not going to play that one here, but that's a really good one. You should check it out. The self-titled record, which was released in 2012. You may have also recognized this band for those. If you recognize this band for any song, it's probably the song Weatherman, which if you played video games like around like 2012, you have heard probably a couple times, at least in trailers. I know there was a video game I used to play called Need for Speed Most Wanted, and that was like, that's pretty much like the anthem for that game. It was like the big song for them. It was Weatherman. Also will not play it because it's most famous. I don't want to highlight that one, but my God, is it good. Holy crap. It is one of just some of the best production I've ever heard in modern rock. It's so good. It kind of hurts me to recommend this in a way though, because this band is just not good anymore. Like it's
that is not where I thought that was gonna go.
No, seriously though, it sucks though because this debut record is so good. What?
I thought you were gonna say like because this band is so important to me.
It is. They really are.
It's not good.
Well, no, seriously, this band started off so strong with this debut. It's so good, but then their second record was a little more psychedelic. It was fine, but it was definitely like a big step down because this first record's so punchy, yet so varied, and then they took like forever to release a follow up to that second album. It was like an EP and it was like indie pop and like really crappy indie pop at that. I was like, what happened to this band? And I should also say. Their lead singer, Emily Armstrong, no joke, the best front woman person, I don't care, whatever you want to call it, just best front to any band, like in modern rock, seriously. She's a great vocalist, just so powerful, and you would never know that from hearing what few new material they've released recently, and it just makes me so sad. This record is also important to me because this was an early album. I had this album from pretty much the beginning of my music fandom because of that video game. I heard Weatherman and I bought the whole record. I didn't really appreciate all the songs at the time, but I've grown to really love this whole record. Like there's a lot of bands like AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, and certainly some bands that I don't listen to anymore. Even the ones that I do, I don't like them as much as I did then. This album I've only grown to love more and more. So it's been with me for it's so long. I look at this record and it's almost nostalgic to me at this point. So, yeah, I would just recommend the whole record at this point. But there is one track that I think is super underrated that I want to play. It's pretty much a hardcore punk song. Yeah, of course, it's the one I'm going to play. But it is one of the wildest tracks you'll ever hear. It's crazy. And you will just get a sliver of how awesome this band can be and how great Emily Armstrong can be. The song's Monumental Holiday. Let's hear it, Ben.
It's just a matter of violence. Save Jesus. Laugh loud, pretend to let go. Live your life like an Eskimo. I found out this is kinda useless. You drive me out, drive me insane. It's time out, give me what it's worth then. Come in, it's a monumental way.
Those guitars are awesome, and they have like they have like a blues song on here. They have like a power pop song on here. They just really just went all over the place with this record, and I love it so much. And I feel like since like the album's released, they've been kind of forgotten. Since again they just don't release a lot of stuff. I just wanted to unearth this record again because it's so good.
I'd like to actually play the original Soundcheck theme real quick. I haven't heard that in so long.
You want to hear it?
Yeah.
If you just click the record and just play "We Are What You Say" real quick because
this is for the long time
listeners. Yeah.
Oh wow.
This is the power pop song, I'd say.
Oh yeah, there it is.
It's really good.
Whoa! Wait. Hold on. Wow! Wow.
Say when.
That's fine. Yeah.
Wow. Dude, that takes me back.
I know. Man, I don't know. Do you know much Dead Sarah, Michael?
No. I just know that song.
Yeah, you should listen to it. I think you'd really like it.
Yeah.
That's so old. I don't even have any memory of that because I wasn't even here.
Yeah. Did you like what you heard though, Ben?
Yeah, that all sounds good. That's some really good screaming.
Yeah, and she's not just a screamer though. She really has just a great range. So Dead Sarah, check them out. This is the last bit of advice you take from me. Listen to Dead Sarah.
Yeah. First album
only. Second record's fine too, but the first record. That's all you need.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't know why. Just hearing that theme got me really nostalgic.
You know?
Well, that's perfect for our
look
closure
back.
here.
We're gonna
our look back.
Are we just gonna kind of share our favorite moments? Or?
Sure. Favorite soundcheck moments, favorite stories with each other. I know Ben's probably gonna put together a little clip show.
Yeah, I'll do my
after
best.
this. We'll find what we can, but I don't know. We'll just this is off the cup. Nothing. We rarely ever script anyways. But go ahead. Whoever wants to start. Favorite memories of my weird ass.
I don't.
Yeah, I have to like look and think about it. I know you had some loaded up, so you do want to share something off the start, Andrew?
I don't know.
I mean, I can share just what it was like when Andrew first approached me and asked me to be on the
Sure,
show.
go ahead.
Yeah.
I was sitting in that couch out there in what is now known as like Andrew's spot.
Yes.
Um,
This is Big Bang Theory or something.
And he comes in, and this is what I remember. I don't know if time has corrupted this memory.
I
but
don't remember
He
this
turns
at
to me,
all.
he's like, "Hey, you like music, right?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Wait, did I
was
say
sure-
that?
yeah,
I don't think I said that.
No, you may have not said that, but you were like, no, you approached me in a very Andrew fashion. You were very closed off. You were like, "Hey, so like you did a really good job on the Jack White podcast."
Why does he sound like Butthead?
Yeah. And I just wanted to let you know that Elio's leaving at the end of the semester, so I was really thinking it would be a good idea if you maybe came on the podcast and started co-hosting. I was like, what? I was
Well,
like,
what is this like?
and I'm serious. I immediately called my mom after you did, my parents. I'm like, I'm gonna be on a podcast. Little do I know it was this.
Yeah, this monstrosity of what it's become. My God. But no, I'm very happy you said yes, Michael. That was what was that impression of me?
It's pretty accurate, actually.
In a way it was, but like, I don't know.
Hey, Beavis.
Hey, Beavis.
You're pretty good,
I
actually.
do a pretty good
Do
one.
I really sound like that?
No, that's
No,
Beavis.
actually, here's another sound check memory. For a while, I would set Andrew's picture on my phone to different people that looked like him. So, because I would see Andrew everywhere. If I just saw like a
He's not gonna have short
lanky,
hair, I
yeah,
should
like
say.
a lanky nerdy kid with glasses, I
And
automatically
short fucking brown hair.
Yeah. So immediately, you ever watch like the first interview Nardwar ever did? He looks exactly
right,
like
they
Andrew.
should.
And
now.
I did at the time, but no, I look like fucking young Nardwar. It's embarrassing.
That's not
Then
bad.
I switched it to like young Steve Albini, and I think that was like the oldie too. I had another one, but I forgot.
Everyone, like, not music related, but everyone kept saying I look like this character from Superbad. Was it?
Oh yeah, McLovin.
Yeah.
McLovin, and I was
Yep.
like, which I hadn't heard. I like it was for like 2 years when I had short hair. It's all I would hear. I looked like this McLovin character, and I did not appreciate it because first of all, I've never seen the movie, but from everything I've heard, it's not aged well at all. Are you looking at it right now?
No. I'm looking at what is currently Andrew's profile picture, and it's the first episode we did back either this year or last year. I think it was this year. It was the Alanis Morissette episode.
Oh.
And we took a picture just outside on the wall and photoshopped her in to the picture. We didn't really know what we were doing.
Can I see it?
Yeah, with the cover at the time. And
It's just me with Alanis.
Yeah, no, it's just you, but you're like
Oh, yeah,
throwing
I'm
up
I'm
like a
my
gang
beanie
sign.
on, but, like, gang. I was doing a rock or those doing a gang sign.
I know, but the way you're holding it, like the full picture is like he's like in the hat too. He just
Oh my
like he looks
God.
like he's about to like.
That
rob
was
a
not
bank.
the intended purpose, but no. No, I've never appreciated the comparison to McLovin because it's always sounded like a really gross, skeezy like person that just hangs out outside like fast food restaurants. But no, and also the movie's just not aged well at all, from my understanding. But whatever.
Yeah.
Brody loves it. This is like his favorite movie.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll have to see. I don't know.
Anyways,
Ben, do you have
any other
some?
things you want to share, Michael?
I'll come. You can come back to me.
Yeah, we'll go around a little bit.
do you- anything
I'm
you
trying
wanna
to
share, Ben?
remember anything. Like, how did I even end up here? I feel like
Well,
I just woke up at the end of Amnesia or something.
Oh, God's Groundhog Day.
I have a
to keep being
famously
reminded.
poor memory.
Yeah.
Famously.
Yes.
Famously
my
poor memory.
memory's getting shoddier the more I
but
grow up.
but I really don't know how I ended up here. I know that I'm looking back at the
I
episodes.
remember meeting you, Ben. If that kind of maybe will
Okay,
help with something.
if you can.
I remember you were kind of just. I don't know. You were far less snazzier. What are you laughing at?
Because when I first met Ben, Brody and I both thought you were a fucking asshole.
Well,
I did not though. I thought you were kind of cool. Although
Thank
you were
you.
nowhere near as snazzy dressing as you
Oh,
are
well.
nowadays.
Yeah,
Ben.
well.
Your fashion game's on point. I
Thank
should
you.
say, and
Well,
I'm not one to really critique fashion.
I've come more in touch with my sexuality. Let's just say.
Well, either way, it's great. And but you weren't as snazzy with your dress back then. But again, we were talking, and I think we both because I had the punk vest that I'm wearing right
Right.
here, and I don't know, someone was talking about, like, I think the vest, maybe a reference to the Dead Kennedys patch, and you were like, or maybe I was talking about Jello Biafra, and you said, no, he's the frontman for the Dead Kennedys. Like, oh, you like the Dead Kennedys? Yeah, I like punk music. And we both realized we had, like, an affinity for garage music, which I was
Yeah,
really cool. I hadn't
yeah.
really met anyone before, I think, had that same kind of...
No,
Love
I
that.
remember this now.
Yeah, and I think Quinn Kirby, who was an editor at the time, she kind of like goes over to say, oh, "Is this the blossoming of a new friendship or something like that?" And,
Yeah.
which just very akin to her personality, and I think it took a little bit afterward, but since then I'd like to say that we've become pretty good friends.
I would say that as well.
friendship has
Yes.
indeed blossomed.
Yes. But I remember that because I came to college and I was expecting like, oh, I'm gonna meet like a ton of awesome people who like all the same shit I like, and I was just like, oh, like I was in the honors dorms and everyone was an asshole to me, and I was like,
Yeah.
or maybe both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, honors kids, get your shit together.
But yeah, none of them liked garage rock for some reason. So I remember meeting. I was starting at CM Life and meeting you, and you're obviously you have like a vest covered in shit you like, so it's very apparent from the start that like we have some stuff in common. And finding someone who was into like primitive 60s music was really strange.
Yeah, I don't know. Like first time it felt like I actually like talked to someone in person about. I'm sure I've like record shows maybe before, but I don't know if I've ever had like a chance to talk about the Elevators with someone before, or the Sonics.
Right.
know,
Yeah. I was just completely submerged in that music at that time, so that was really really exciting.
And that's why we ended up bringing you on for that episode.
And that's why I was so freaked out coming on that episode, because I was like, wow, I've rarely ever talked to anyone about this at all, let alone in front of a microphone.
Yeah.
I didn't have any experience other than like doing shows in front of a microphone, and that's just a completely different thing, you know? So I remember being very nervous for my first 2 guest spots, and I do not remember how I ended up in the producer's chair.
Our won't show shade, but let's just say we had a editor during season 3 that kind of left, or just it wasn't really working out between us. So we were like, "Hey Ben, you like doing audio stuff, right? Cool. You're gonna be. Can you please be the editor, please? Because
Well, originally we proposed it to Dave, like, hey, this guy, he's not, like, we turn episodes every week, so most of the podcasts don't do that, and I feel like he's not equipped to handle, like, the workload that we have. Can we just get someone to edit just our podcast
Right.
alone? And then through that, you edited the rest of season 3, and then he left, and then you came on as, like, the full-time podcast producer.
Yeah, that sounds right. And then, because I remember my first episode in the room was season 3, episode 8.
which was it the online
Fines,
Online
which I also
Fines.
came up with the title for.
Yeah.
I remember. And that, I was just like thrown into the chair. I was like doing my best, but no one has still to this day.
You were playing songs live, which I don't think we really had before.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
we tried before with other editors, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
But so that really, I think, helped change the dynamic of the show for the better.
Thank you. Yeah, that was my big priority with the show, definitely, as I listened to some of the previous episodes and the songs were just kind of like sprinkled in under where people were talking. And I was like, well, I had listened to music podcasts before. Rock Solid is a really good example of shows that will pause and play a clip of the stuff that you're talking about. And I thought that would be preferable not only for the listener, but also for me, so that I don't have to be like trying to balance levels between vocals and music, and it's just better all around. And I don't know, I mean, I was just really excited to get involved, and then we started making the artwork as well, which was something else we stumbled into. The first two of season 4 I wasn't involved with, and then the third was the movie posters one, which is kind of bad. Thanks to me.
I think you both look good on it, but for some reason I would not put my hair up on my face, so like there's this weird hair blend going on.
But I think the album, it was cool to have our own like album like artworks for each episode.
Yeah.
And that was also another really great addition. I mean, you just made this you made this podcast so much better, Ben.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you for being on.
I was really excited to see like where it was at, and I was really excited to get involved. This is I don't think it's any secret, and I don't mean to I'm not disparaging any other podcasts or saying they're any worse, but this was definitely, just because I'm so passionate about this stuff, this was like my passion project in being the editor here and in really trying to improve all of our shows. But this one specifically had a direction that I saw it could go, and I think we've gone that way.
Yeah.
Do you want to say something, Michael?
I just want to tell Ben, one of my first priorities as editor-in-chief next year is to get you a protege to fill your shoes.
Well, thank you. Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, if anyone's listened to this far in, and you want to get involved with stuff like this, and hold your pee for 2 hours, then
the
seat will be available.
Maybe we'll have to.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. But
I do have some Michael moments I want to share, and they all involve almost getting me into car accidents. So wow. So so this will lead up to more happy, I guess, quote unquote, happy memories that we had with each other. But I think the second ever house show we'd been to each other.
Oh yeah.
This involves two of them. There's two of them on this trip, I should say. Like I remember I was driving down like the road, and I was like trying to like fiddle with the music. Probably shouldn't be, driving. But I wasn't like, I was paying attention. I was also trying to just focus on the road too as well. And Michael, I think, said to me something along the lines of, "Have you ever heard of Elvis?" And I was like half listening. So I was like, I'm like, no, what is that? And then like there's a pause, and then
I can imagine.
And then Michael just starts yelling, "You ain't nothing but
Still one of my greatest jokes to this day.
It caught me so off guard. I nearly swerved off the highway. I was like, what the fuck?
That is really good. That is great.
I laughed so hard thinking about that now. It was great.
That was
the other one. Oh no, I meant to bring this. I meant to bring the CD. I can't remember it, but harking back to
is it CD Dollar Bin?
CD Dollar Bin episode. So during this trip, because we knew we were going down to Ann Arbor, we were gonna do, I think, hair metal that weekend, but it didn't work out.
Right.
For some reason. I don't remember the exact one. But I remember instead we were like just gonna go like, okay, we'll just do. I came up with this idea, CD Dollar Bin. We'll just go through like record stores and we'll find some CDs in the dollar bin. And we came across this one, and I'm trying to find the title. I don't know if I'll be able to. My Discog, I'm sure I have it in here somewhere. But we did play it on the episode. It was like this weird looking, like they had like the inside cover out, and it's just this weird photoshopped image of this like woman like in the sun, like her face, and she was making a weird like mocking face. The actual cover like looks like a bunch of like space cats like walking in some sort of alternate dimension. And the music was interesting to say the least.
Ben would love it. It's outsider music for
me. It definitely has some outsider music qualities, but we were so amused by this, and like we wanted to listen to this thing right away.
Yep.
So we started playing it in the car, and I remember when it first started, and Michael's like, I want to hear this so badly. And I don't remember what we played in the first song. Michael, like, it was like some acoustic stuff. It doesn't sound like great, but Michael was like, this doesn't sound too bad. And then immediately like some kazoos come in and her vocals like mix in there. It's like this weird like harmonization going on. Like and I use harmonization in the loosest terms possible.
God. I just slumped back in my chair. I'm like,
and I laughed so hard. I was crying. I was trying to get out of this parking garage in Ann Arbor. And I was like, couldn't even keep my eyes open. It was that, like, I was laughing that hard. And I probably almost got into a car accident trying to get out. And
Oh my God.
that was just a really funny moment, just sitting in there listening to this record with you, Michael.
Wow.
I should have looked at this beforehand. I don't know
okay.
what it was called, but
No worries.
I found it! I found it!
Oh my God.
Oh, it's
Soundcheck
called
exclusive.
Unlistenable Mood Music from an Open Mood.
Yeah, when
Side
you literally
B.
have unlistenable in the title.
Valoric Haywood. She's actually a Michigan local artist. Well, it says from Canada, but I think she's Michigan local.
Weird.
Yeah, Little Freddie was the name. It also has songs called Pooping Out the Worms.
Oh, yeah.
Venomous Orchestra, Brown Wank, and Five Pillings for Jack Spratt. It's a very special record
It is.
for me because I think of Michael. And whenever I try to have him listen to it again, he just goes no, which is understandable. The other time he almost got me to a car accident was when he visited me up the third time.
Yes.
I was interning in Huron County, in Michigan. It was rural, and I was like bored. It's like, hey, Michael, can you please come up and visit me one day? And we did. It was we took a day. We went down to Saginaw. We went some record shopping. I showed him around a little bit in the Thumb. And we stopped in this town in there called Caseville. It's a bit of a touristy town. We went to like this pizza joint. It wasn't that good, if I remember correctly.
No, it was awful.
It wasn't
and they
great
charged
pizza,
like
but-
$30 too.
Yeah, and then we waited for a while, I think, too. But in that moment, I don't know how it came up, but we started talking about porno grind music. And if you don't know what porno grind is, do yourself a favor and never learn what it is. It is one of the most vile, disgusting, perverted, misogynistic genres it exists in. It's horrible. If you know grindcore and then its slower genre, gore grind, it's that gone sexual. It's terrible. But I don't know how they brought it up, but I was like kind of explaining to Michael what it is, and we were like fucking like middle schoolers. We were really giggling at some of these title tracks, even though they're just horrible, disgusting, and awful. And Michael, of course, Michael being the curious journalist that he is, like, well, I want to listen to some of this music. I'm like, Michael, I'm telling you, you're not gonna like it. You're not gonna understand the vocals. You're not gonna get out of it what you want. And so as we get to my car, he just pulls like a song. I don't remember what it was called. I probably couldn't even say it on air if anybody remembered.
Yeah.
He pulled like some song on YouTube and it started playing, and it was like. It had this like weird like someone put it in this weird like clip from like the 30s and like some jazz dancers. I don't know why, but it did. And it started playing. It was like really distorted music, and then like this gurgling noise comes on, and Michael's like, "Wow, this is some interesting bass." And I'm like, and I, even though I hadn't heard the song before, I knew exactly what it was because I warned Michael.
Yeah.
He didn't heed my warning, and I said, "Michael, those are the vocals." He's like, "Those are the vocals," and I started dying. I was literally driving at this point, and he's like shoving his phone in my face, like, "Why are they putting it to this video?" And I was dying. I couldn't keep my eyes open again. I was laughing so hard, and I was like, "What? I'm trying to drive."
Yeah.
That was also a very special.
So
moment.
don't ride with Michael unless you want to laugh so hard that you get into an accident.
Yeah. I don't know. Ben hasn't experienced some of that yet.
Yeah,
That is the one thing that I've been robbed of on this show is like by the time I felt ingratiated enough with everyone that like I would have been comfortable. We did go to the record store that one time, though.
We've been record shopping with each other
but we never got to
before.
like go to a show together or anything like that.
No, and to kind of wrap it up, you know, leading to nicer moments, that led to when we saw Dogleg. For you, it was like the 27th time. For me, it was the first time. And it was a house show, and it was like the second house show we'd been to because we had been the first house show we went at. We went together when we saw Gray Matter. And it was the first time we ever been to one. And my God, when things are safe enough to have shows again, that's one of the things we want to do. I want to get back into local scenes. I want to go to house shows because they're such intimate, cool moments. You just get to sit around and chat with everyone, even the band.
I walked into that first show and someone takes a giant rip of a bong, and I was like, all right, we in this now.
Like,
we are
just
true
like
scenesters now.
There's like they had like tables of different strands of weed and like and acid. It was like, it was
Oh my
cool.
God, wow.
And then I had like really awkward conversations with my dad afterwards. Like, what is this, a house show? What, you just go to someone's house and you ask it, were there drugs there? Like, he's just so...
Oh, I know. And Andrew and I were so awkward too. Like,
Yeah,
these are
we
all,
were so
we
awkward.
were like tucked into the corner. Everyone knew each other because it's a scene,
Yeah,
right?
and we weren't,
We
so.
didn't know anybody there, so we're just like tucked into the corner, like talking about music and like our favorite records and stuff.
Like, I was probably crapping on YouTube then because YouTube's terrible.
So it was just like an episode of this show.
Basically.
Pretty much, but imagine just like loud chaos happening in the background.
We can do an ambient version of that where you guys are talking.
And we're like really nervous. We're like, so do you ever listen to this Bad Religion record? Are those drugs?
I wasn't scared of the drugs.
I was like 18. I was 18.
Yeah, I was. I was only about 19 then, probably.
Damn.
But
classic.
yeah, those are, but seeing those together was very special because I'm glad I got to share those memories with you, as well as seeing Bad Religion with you. We already talked about that last week, so those are like some of my favorite memories with Michael for sure.
How about recording? Do we have any great recording memories?
Well, I mean, this is going to be in the compilation for sure, but every time we have Dave on, it's like, all right, ready for the 3-hour lockdown on this episode? That man just talks and talks, and like
then me, who also just talks and talks.
And you guys are like, when like, in the new Mario games, when Mario gets like the fire flower, but you can get like the super fire flower. It's like, I cannot contain this with my ice flower. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just too much. So I have to like step back and be like, I'm sorry, Ben. This is what's gonna happen.
No, well, especially when
Van Halen.
The Van Halen. Like I was the artwork that you see online for Van Halen. I was doodling that while we were going because I was just like, I know I'm gonna be like sitting at this table for 3 hours, so I'm gonna get something productive done. I can't use my computer, so here we go. But no, I mean. We've definitely had to buckle down for a few.
Yeah,
that's
I do
for
apologize.
Sure.
I do apologize for that. I do want to say though, I actually genuinely from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you all for putting up with my BS, my rambly ass. I know it's annoying, and I feel bad, but I still feel we got some good episodes out there, and I hope you guys agree with it, even if I meander sometimes.
No, I mean, and when we get the trio together and do episodes like this, it's definitely we tend to keep things on track pretty well. I mean, obviously the last episode and this one were really long, but that's just like to be expected. It's the grand finale basically, so it just makes sense.
Anyone who doesn't care about this stuff can just let their after recommendations.
Right.
To be honest.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we're just sort of navel gazing at this point, but the one recording session I really remember well, or I guess there are two. I remember King Giz was great.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a really fun one to edit as well. There are lots of little like tricks and little things in there.
Does that still have the highest amount of views?
I'm not sure. Mac DeMarco got pretty high as well.
I know the Workhorse special episode we had was
that one has done well as well.
All those guys passed that around.
Right, and that one was intimidating because that was like my second thing I had done, and these guys were using horrible mic technique.
Oh,
and
I know.
Like,
they were like
talking
like this. They were like talking to the side
they were like
of it.
leaning back in their chair and like way over here, and it's like I set up the mic where you were sitting for a reason, sir. But it's also like these guys.
I should have had more direction, like to like say, hey guys, just talk to me.
Right. Well, I mean, for me,
it would have been a simple fix. But
yeah.
I was awkward.
For me, I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. Spoiler alert. And also, these guys, while they're not like they're not the biggest band ever by any means, but they've like toured with actual musicians and like been on actual record labels.
For instance.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I wasn't gonna say, hey, can you get on the mic, please? I just, I was 19. I didn't feel.
Yeah.
I did not feel comfortable. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But I also remember being in here before the movie soundtracks episode. When we watched True Stories together on like
that was fun.
Computer monitor.
Oh, and I remember when I showed Michael Blues Brothers for the first time.
Yeah,
that was fun too. And I just remember your face when like, oh, by the way, Michael, here are the Nazis now after like 4 other villains have been introduced. And you're like, what is happening?
I know that ending to Blues Brothers is so great.
It's so great. I love it. And watching movies, that was a lot of fun. And I don't know. I mean, we've had a lot of great guests. I do want to like Jordan Hermany on B-52s. That was fantastic.
That was fun.
All the times Ben Solis has been on.
Ben Solis has been just a terrific guest. Anytime Melissa Frick was on, she was great as well. Elliot, and I do also want to thank Elio for being my first co-host.
Oh yeah.
I probably won't be listening to this, but it's okay. How you doing, Elio? Thank you for happening. And I know he's kind of been off for a while, but I also want to thank our original podcast editor, Brent Gunn. He's the one who really helped get this podcast going in the beginning to start with. I would not have been able to do any of this without him or you, Ben, for that matter. So,
Chris, yes.
Yeah, it's just been a lot of people who've made this a lot of fun over the years. I know we always like to joke that we don't have a lot of listeners, but I think we've gotten, like we just mentioned, there are definitely episodes where we've gotten a lot of views. We definitely got a lot of attention, and at the very least, it's been just a ton of fun. And I'm a little sad to say that this is kind of it for me full time. Not to say I can't come back later.
Oh, you'll be back.
Yeah, we'll find some stuff for you to do for sure. It's really bizarre, honestly. Like, it's like we're gonna become that band that keeps touring despite the fact that there are no original members left.
Yeah, you're right. Oh my God, yeah. But I said, and I do mean it. I think this podcast is just gonna get better and better. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean that's the nature of doing it at kind of like a student newspaper and stuff, where like, the Raving Geeks and the Level Up Chips and all of those podcasts.
They've been around forever, but
they just live on.
It's just the name, really, at this point. And like, you get like a new podcast every couple of years because of that. Like, I'm graduating, and you guys will be on. I don't know who's going to replace you guys.
Yeah, we have no clue
year.
either.
Hopefully, you'll find someone. But but no, I feel like I've created a good. I feel like not only me creating this, but then you two coming along, making it better than what it was at the start. I think we've created something really strong here at CM Life.
I mean, at the end of the day, I really think we have the longest running podcast in CM Life history. I think we do. Mm-hmm. I mean, besides like maybe past deadlines, but that's like more of a news broadcast thing.
Yeah.
Like this is the longest CM Life podcast that's been like about entertainment, about stuff that we enjoy talking about.
Yeah. It's very consistent. It's been it's probably the most consistent.
Yeah,
I would say.
And we skip weeks every now and again because we have work to do, or just something happens, we can't do it.
That's the thing people don't understand is like we're students and we have jobs, and like we still come back every week and do this.
Yeah, not every week, but
yeah. I mean, it's hard to fit some massive discographies in some weeks, but we get it done, or we skip a week or whatever.
And looking back, I'm really proud of the work we've done.
Yeah, I am as well. And at the very least, we'll have these many recordings to cherish for time.
For time. We can
all time.
Until my future grandchildren uncover them and be like,
what is this?
What the fuck is this, Grandpa?
Yeah, Grandpa's swearing all over the place on a school-sponsored
Grandpa,
podcast.
What's this? The Weezer episode? I want us to do this. And you're like, no,
don't do it.
You're not old enough for that yet.
No.
Yeah, Weezer reprise coming soon.
Yeah, so we'll have to do one more calm. That one was just us yelling at each other.
I will do another Weezer episode.
Yeah, you'll keep the levity in that one, Ben.
Yeah.
Not at me. I think Weezer just has that discography though, where it's just designed to break up friendships.
Yeah. I mean, is there anything else, Andrew? This is it.
I don't know. I just want to say thank you all for being my co-hosts. Thank you for being podcast editor, Ben. Thank you for being my friends. And
oh wow.
Handshake, firm handshakes. We'll hug later.
Okay.
Both sweaty. That's okay. But no, seriously, I'm just happy that I've been able to do this for so long. This is actually, I think it's my last byline in CM Life. It's on this episode. So you know what? I can't think of anything better. And before we close out this episode and get on to the clip show that Ben will hopefully insert here later. If not, oh well. I am really looking forward to see what you guys have to pull off for this. I'm really interested. I know there are going to be certain bands that we didn't talk about. I know I'm expecting a Ween episode at some point in the future. I mean, that's inevitable. I'm expecting to hear more hip-hop, probably more country, like you said earlier. Mm-hmm. And who knows, maybe I have a podcast idea that I'll start myself, which I won't say anything more about that because...
Spin-off.
Yeah, who knows at this point. But yeah, it's a Soundcheck spin-off in a way. But
hell yeah.
Yeah, but no, thank you. That's just all I want to say.
This is Andrew's final Good Night, Detroit.
Closing time. Open up the doors and let you out into the world. Closing time. Hey. Cut all the lights on over every boy and every girl. Closing time. You're just offering alcohol, so finish your whiskey or beer. Closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Back off the mics.
I know who I want to take me home. I know who I want to take me home. I know who I want to take me home. Take me home.
Majesty's a pretty nice girl, but she doesn't have a lot to say. Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl, but she changes from day to day. I wanna tell her that I love her a lot, but I gotta get a belly full of wine. Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl, someday I'm gonna make her mine, oh yeah, someday I'm gonna make her mine.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Soundcheck, a brand new podcast here at Central Michigan Life, relating around rock music. I am your host, Andrew Mullen, a sophomore here at Central Michigan University, studying journalism. Here's my co-host,
Elio Stante. I'm a political science student.
And hopefully throughout the rest of the semester, we'll be talking about various topics relating to the world of rock music and whatnot.
This next record is better than the Beatles. It's better than Radiohead. I mean, Mozart.
Oh, I saw this, and I'm like, this is coming home with me. I'm taking this home. This is gonna be mine. And now I'm thinking about it, I swear I've seen this in Encore CDs before. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I didn't take it home till now, because obviously this is majestic. Like I'm legitimately thinking about making this the thumbnail for this episode. I might have Brett do that because it is truly magnificent.
Please do. What's this record called? Then?
So it's by an artist, but she's Michigan local actually. Mm-hmm. So hopefully she doesn't hear this. Although she should, because this is amazing. She's Flora Kaywood, I think. This is a side B to her debut album, and it is called Unlistenable Mood Music from an Open Mood.
Yeah, highlight that word unlistenable.
Unlistenable.
Let me see that. Let me read out a couple track names here.
Can I read the inside?
Sure.
So
go for it. And describe what this looks like.
So this looks like my baby's first Photoshop assignment. It shows a cat staring off into the horizon over an ocean. Who I presume is the lead singer, photoshopped into this. What looks like this floral supernova coming out of the ocean with her face, and she looks like she's having a difficult shit. As the photos being taken, it's truly something magnificent.
It is.
And take a listen to this. This album's more epic than Rush. Mm-hmm. Then yes, this is a progressive rock album. All songs were written and performed by this person between the ages of 19 and 24. So it took 5 years to make this thing. Mm-hmm. Although one of them was written at age 8. Which is the first song. First song was written at age 8. This album is meant as a side B to Flora's self-titled album. This album technically has 4 parts to it. It's like 4 overall movements.
Yeah, 22 tracks in total.
It's a progressive rock album, I'm telling you. First part is Unlistenable Mood Music, which is tracks 1 through 9. Mm-hmm. Tracks 10 through 15 is Songwriters Club songs.
That's actually the most tolerable.
Well, that's the part that you heard. Yeah. I listened to the last 2 parts, which contains tracks 16 to 21 called Open New Live Improv. Mm-hmm. And then the bonus trance song is the last part, which is a 12-minute long epic. That was something. Go ahead. Would you like to read some of these song titles? I know you've been waiting to talk.
So you don't have to have this on the internet of you saying what these titles are. So the third track is called Big Food. Big Food.
That's like the
Big
first
Mood.
track?
Yeah. Big Food's sorry, third track. I said third. Okay. Yeah. Big Food's a big mood. Then after that, track number 5. You got Pooping Out the Worms.
You're pronouncing it wrong. You were calling it Pooping Out Worms.
Yeah, I forgot the Sorry. I'm sorry I'm so uncultured. If you can, you can. That's track number 8. You got Brown Wank. You got Special Glue. Pie Filling for Jack Sprat. Okay.
I think Brent's gonna kind of like half the shit.
Brent's the type of dude to think this is art.
I'm gonna preface this. I like this one song by this artist, and like it is a full-on guilty pleasure. I hate this band, like strongly. They're one of my least favorite bands ever. I know they're one of Michael's least favorite bands ever.
We've agreed on this before?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
But I cannot deny that this song is quintessential cheesy 80s gold right here. And I don't think it's a good song. I really don't. It's got to be kind of enjoyable. I just really want to see Michael's face when I press play.
This is Journey's
Separate Ways.
Separate Ways. I don't like the song.
Gotta hate.
Again.
You want something that's really not good?
Oh, for God's sakes.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, God. Yeah.
Kokomo by the Beach Boys, ladies and gentlemen.
I hate this song. When I was looking at this list, when I was listening to it, it was the Post Malone song and Kokomo were like the two that I was genuinely struggling to come up with something nice. And here's the one that could come up nice about Kokomo. It achieves its goal. I don't like its goal, but it achieves it. Yes, I feel like I'm on a tropical island when I'm listening to this song.
And that is all that you need out of the Beach Boys.
Yes, I agree. It makes me hate tropical experiences now, but it achieved its goal. That's the nice thing I can say about the song. But since I know the song was purposely put in to make me angry, I feel no shame at all in tearing this one to shreds. I'm sorry. I respect Brian Wilson. He's done a lot of good things for innovation in music. I don't like the Beach Boys. I'm sorry. And this song in particular, was painful for me to listen to. I could not get into this at all.
I'm sorry. So you're telling me that the Beach Boys, when you listen to them, they do not free your soul?
No. It makes... No. No, they don't.
What band does free your soul, Andrew? Do you have a soul to be freed?
He likes
whatever soul I had left a long
Does
time
bad
ago.
religion, is that the only thing that just exceeds your soul?
I think if I had a soul, it left a very long time ago.
Anti-corporatism. That's what makes it.
Okay.
That's what puts him at ease.
Andrew's parents are worried. He just left for college, and they haven't heard from him in 3 weeks.
Honey, where the fuck is Andrew? Why isn't he calling us?
I don't know. I'd go out of my way and call him, but I just want to give him some space since he just went off to college, and I don't really want to step on his toes or anything like that.
Why isn't my boy calling right now? I miss him horribly.
Why wasn't Andrew calling right now?
Man, I've been having such a great time playing the GTA, playing the NBA, playing the 2K. I've been playing all these games, man. I've been going on dates with all the chicks and drinking all the beer. I don't need no parents in my life. I don't care if I call them today, tomorrow, or ever again.
Unfortunately for Andrew, his parents both passed away in a deadly hunting accident the next day. Call your parents, won't you? Thank you. Don't end up like Andrew.
Again, I'm mad at myself for not listening to this sooner.
Michael.
So Edward said, Edward's.
Sorry. I do
Edward
want to
said
ask Michael
that,
something real quick. Sorry. Go. I don't know who's going. Who's going?
Why would he send us out to this barn? What could even be in here? It looks like it's about to fall down.
I don't know, man. This place gives me the creeps. This is the one part of this ranch I did not want to go to.
I wonder what could be in here. A copy of the Butcher Baby cover of yesterday?
Maybe Frankenstein's monster? We haven't met him yet.
Okay, step back. Step back. I'm gonna open it up.
Oh my God, Elvis Presley, you're alive!
Just had to come pop by the barn, and I hear the house is a little haunted, but that's my spirit wandering around. You can never get tired of saying Elvis, man. But you know what? I want to say hello to the Soundcheck boys, and I hope you guys are doing good. Hope you guys are going to have a great Halloween and party it up real good, man. Elvis style. And but you know what? I'd like to make a recommendation here for a song for you guys to play, and it was a very, very famous song I used to do back in the day, and it kind of fits the whole Halloween spirit, man. And you got some devils, pretty sexy ones too, probably, and some angels. And so here we go. We're gonna do something right here.
Guys, what the fuck just happened?
As always, what do we say, boys? Good night, Detroit.